entire investigation, because this is where supposedly the black box is in fact, and it's so far not being found. There has a DVR which has been found, but nothing as far as the black box is concerned. Let me very quickly at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, once again, through the help of the artificial intelligence, play out some important information regarding the black box, because as I said, the focus of the entire investigation comes to the black box. This black box, as far as this probe is concerned, the hunt for the black box is the prime focus of the investigators, and the black box in fact holds the key as far as this probe is concerned. The boxes are designed for maximum survivability, as I was telling you earlier, and that will become the most important aspect as far as this investigation, where it goes from here. Apart from this, I can also show you some visuals this side. What we are being told, one of the machines, in fact, is being taken towards, it looks like a heavy machinery, a crane sort of machinery, which they are trying to take onto that location, and possibly will be used to bring that entire section down. What you see once again on that roof are a lot of people, those who have come again. My sense is that this has been done to all of them. They will try and use some mechanism to pick or to scoop over this entire section and bring it down, because I can see a lot of heavy machinery being moved towards that area. But this is where things stand as far as this entire plane crash investigation is concerned. Very important moments that we are witnessing at this right now, and my sense is that all those people are trying to secure that tail end of the aircraft, which would eventually be taken out, or at least been brought down by the big machinery that is moving towards it. Deepthi, if I can come back to you at this moment, it's about 4:25. All right, Aishwarya is still with me. Let me very quickly get in a word from him. Aishwarya, while the investigation picks up pace, the focus is on the black box. For the families there, could you give us a sense, has there been any confirmation on how many people died on the ground? What's the total tally? Because so far, the only confirmation that has come in is from Air India, about 241 passengers on board the AI 171, which crashed yesterday.
Well, the officials haven't confirmed the numbers as to how many casualties took place, where the crash site and at the undergraduate hostel, but they are still calculating. Several bodies are being recovered from the hostel itself, but it is just not, remember, the human beings which had been impacted, animals to birds, because of the level of the fuel that was in the aircraft and the amount of fireball that it generated within few seconds. It also impacted that. But as I said, there were family members that I met just outside the postmortem room who were coming from the villages just located nearby, the small shops that were owned by very, very cluster cluster colonies, and those people living in those areas, from 8-month-old boy to 5-year-old boy to his mother. All of those are something that the numbers are still being calculated by the officials. So that has not been revealed yet. But what we've been confirmed is that 6 bodies have been handed over to the family members of the locals, and those were locals. The government have requested the foreign national family members that they should come and give their DNA, and that will be at this location only. This is Kasauti Bhavan. And one thing very interesting that I'm also witnessing over here in Ahmedabad. One thing which is very different that I wanted to share to our viewers as well, that there are several organizations that I see since morning, the NGOs that have come up, other organizations that want to help the family members out there, including the Gujarat government, who has officially stated that apart from whatever help they can provide, the mental stability is something that is very important, and therefore every sort of help, be it from food to giving them some sort of comfort, these organizations are coming out since morning. They are waiting. They have some of the packets in their hands, or they have brought in some sort of food to provide them. They are sitting inside. The family members are waiting for their turn to come, until the time these people are assisting them from every age group, from every sect. I have been witnessing here in the civil hospital. At least this is one thing which is happening to assure that there is much help that they can be provided, so that they could be getting a mental stability, as what has been gone within 24 hours in their minds is something that has been devastating. It is still tears in the eyes, which I can see over here at the civil hospital. They are waiting. These people are waiting outside the Kasauti Bhavan for their chance. And of course, on one side, as you rightly mentioned, investigation is going on. The committees have been formed by the central government. All assistance will be given. Black box is something that the authorities are trying to find out as soon as possible to get out the more information as to why this crash happened. On the other side, of course, humanitarian angle is very important, and that's where the government is doing at its best to provide them and to fast track the entire DNA testing process.
That's right. While the effort is to try and fast-track the DNA testing process, but it won't be earlier than 48 to 72 hours is what the experts are telling us. Some developments, very fast-paced developments which are taking place here, an increase in the activity on this rooftop. The hunch is that they are probably trying to, in fact, take this down, bring this entire tail section down. I can see a lot of heavy machinery being also moved towards that place. Remember, at 10:30 a.m. today, the SDRF and NDRF were given a green signal to clear the debris from the accident site and try and clean this entire area. There is a method which has been employed as far as that cleaning process is concerned. Section by section, they will be picking up debris, which will be packed differently, marked, and then sent so that it can be analyzed later. But we were just watching this. Some of the people, those who are on this rooftop, have also gone a little inside as far as this cone that you are seeing is concerned. That's the tail end part of this aircraft, and we can hear, I can't see from here because of the tree cover, but I can hear that there are some machineries which are being moved. I'm yet not sure whether it is to pick this up and bring it down, but certainly an increase in the activity on this rooftop here of the mess where we have been reporting since morning, the only vantage point to see this entire area. Yesterday, and I spoke to a few of the doctors, those who were present in other buildings when this crash took place today, taking their stuff out. Many of them saying that their vehicles, whether it was a motorcycle, a scooter, or their cars, all has been burned, completely charred, and absolutely, been absolutely melted in the malign, the mangled, in fact, the remains, the debris of this entire crash, which is strewn in and across this area for about 500 to 600 meters. So that's the latest, in fact, as far as this entire investigation is concerned. The important focus, the thrust at this moment is to find the black box.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
Why was there a hurry? Was it the government that was in a hurry?
I don't want to blame anyone.
Joining us today here in the NDTV newsroom.
Government cannot walk away from this responsibility.
Cricket is religion of sort in this country. Would you like to comment on what happened?
What is the condition of the injured at this point? How many people died?
What exactly happened? You have lost your daughter.
In the wake of Pahalgam, all eyes on the Amarnath Yatra. Amidst fear, faith, and fortitude. India's biggest fight against terror. NDTV reports on the holy route, the Amarnath spirit.
markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts July 13th. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
It is the biggest aviation disaster that you have seen in the last many years. There are many unanswered questions. We are tracking the investigation. We'll also tell you more about the black box and a lot of other things in just a moment. I also want to take it across to our colleague Ankit, who's been reporting relentlessly from Ground Zero. Ankit, where you are, I do see a portion of the tail of that plane. So why don't you take it away? Please move your cameras and tell us more of what we see.
Absolutely. That's the most moving picture that you will see at this moment, the importance of this tail section, the largest, the section which is still not completely disintegrated of this entire aircraft. Apart from that, the cockpit, the fuselage, the entire aircraft completely charred and burned. Now, what is happening is suddenly, after a break of about couple of hours, there are these people, those who have come on top, seems to be from the agencies, either the NDRF or others from the Air Crash Investigation Bureau as well. All of them are on the top. What is the important thing at this moment is that they are trying to secure this entire tail section. And hopefully the attempt is to try and bring it down, because they are already removing the debris. I can see a JCB machine, an earth mover, which has been pressed into action. When I was there last night, and we saw, in fact, in the morning when the Prime Minister also went there, when this aircraft crashed into this mess, it broke the terrace, it broke many of the section of the wall. All that debris is lying under. So the JCB is clearing that debris, and after that I've been told that there would be possibly an attempt, because I can see some very heavy, some big cranes being moved as we speak. Whether they are to try and get this entire section down, and would they be able to bring it down in one piece is the big question, because since morning there were things being done all around that tail. They were in fact drilling was taking place at that moment, and they were trying to break down the area or at least the remaining terrace, because of course it's a dangerous structure. They would also want some sort of space for work. So that's what seems to be happening at this moment. This area also becomes very important, because the black box is yet to be found. Remember, we spoke to Air India, and Air India has very clearly mentioned that at this moment they have not confirmed about the recovery of the black box. There is one DVR which has been found, but that of course does not hold the kind of important information that the black box in fact provides. It's a large box which is usually placed at the tail end section of the aircraft, and it's pinkish orange in color, and that's what in fact becomes the focus of the entire investigation as far as this crash site is concerned, Deepthi.
All right, so Ankit there, remember, is getting us more details, and these are very dramatic images. Remember, the tail is what you see here. You still see a lot of this smoke billowing out, and that is the portion. And this is what also houses the black box, something that is crucial to the entire investigation that Ankit has been talking about. And this is what will tell us more about those last few seconds, what happened in the last 30 seconds. Why was the plane not able to pick up enough thrust? Now, these are graphics that our team has been able to build up to help you understand just minute-by-minute details of what happened. The aircraft's black box is what we are trying to explain to you. You look at the plane now, where is it placed? It's placed somewhere in the tail. And this is the tail that you also see right now, just behind Ankit from where he was reporting. So this is why a lot of focus is shifting there right now. It's in the tail, and it actually consists of two devices. And something that we need to reiterate again and again, black box is not black. That is a misnomer. It's orange or yellowish, essentially, to garner a lot of attention. So these are the two devices we are talking about, 1 and 2. This is placed when it comes to the black box, and it's in the part of the tail. Let's get you more details of what these two portions are. The first device is the FDR, that is a flight data recorder. You see this placed right here, the black one. Now this is to record a lot of these details of the communication that happened via the ATC, what is the pilot wanting to say. All this is recorded in this particular device. Let's bring up the details of the second device. Now this is the cockpit voice recorder, the CVR. Again, this is placed somewhere here, again, close to the portion of the tail, if you look at this particular animation to help you understand. Let's bring up more details as far as this particular black box is concerned. What does this also do is captures the timing and the sequence of event, something that holds the key to what happened. We all want answers to those questions. What happened? Was this an engine failure? Was this something else? Was some technical snag? The second device that we just spoke about, which is the cockpit voice recorder, it helps separate a lot of this technical faults / the human error. And this is again where a lot of this data is going to get studied by the experts. Sometimes it takes a lot of time to just study this data, but this will help answer a lot of those questions. And this gives you minute details which are a key to the cache probe. And this is exactly why all the focus is now shifting to the black box. Have we been able to find the black box yet? The answer is no, but there are a lot more other details and the probe that is still underway. This is in fact a real-time image that we are just focusing on the tail here, and this is what houses the black box. We'll quickly hit a break. On the other side, more coverage, more live reportage, more details of what we know about the black box. So far, don't go anywhere.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
have been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि एनडीए सरकार में हम अगले 10 साल में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करके रहेंगे। अटल से तो विकसित भारत की तस्वीर है। प्रेरणा।
It is the crash that raises a lot of questions, and it is a crash that obviously needs to be investigated. But how will it be investigated? The clues lie in the black box. Where is the black box? The black box somewhere is in the tail of this particular plane. These, remember, are live images that we have cut across here on our screens to just help you understand what we are talking about as we speak. This is a team of the investigative agencies along with the relief and rescue teams that right now are there, also trying to move a lot of these portions to be able to secure the black box right from here. That actually consists of two portions. One is a portion that records the voice data records that continuously get communicated between the pilot and the ATC. And the other, remember, is also to secure a lot of other data that gets recorded during the travel and because there was a mayday call made. So what was that call all about? What was that last conversation? All these are details that you will see once you will have the black box that is being recovered. But just look at the impact of what we are talking about. This is just a portion of that hospital building, the mess, the library, all housed here. And if you look at this, it is all dilapidated right now. You see the impact, not just that loud thud that happened, you see the damage to the building, you see those huge cracks because of the smoke, and the area is still heavy with a lot of this inferno that we have seen over the last many hours. And the agencies, the team of the rescuers, the investigators, right now trying to ensure that they are able to take out, remember, all possible clues right now to be able to ensure that we have a full investigation into what happens. What we can also tell you that there is a team of the NSG also that has been deployed. There are teams of the DGCA that already have been on ground zero in the last many hours to be able to understand more details as to what led to this crash in the first place. There are families looking for answers. The DGCA is looking for answers. And we've also had images of the Prime Minister earlier who was at the civil hospital. He was close to the crash site also, trying to know what happened and understand from the people who are looking at the entire investigations right now. But before I tell you more about the plane, I again want to look at this image. This is the tail. You see the entire portion of the tail here, which is caught here in this rubble, and a portion of this building that will be lifted out soon. And this is from where you will have the black box holding the key to the entire investigation. I'm told we also have our colleague Ankit joining us, and he's very close to where we are getting you this image. Ankit, it's such a powerful image. I see that right here behind Ankit on our screens. How much more time till we have any more idea about the black box and that could hold the key, Ankit, to the entire investigation?
Well, that's where the entire investigation hinges, Deepthi. Like you very rightly pointed out, the black box is the entire focus of this investigation right now. At least what we know from Air India, that so far it has not been found. But like you said, powerful images. There seems to be a lot of movement here. And I keep saying this. If viewers are, with us, they would think that I'm just saying that in every live hit that we are doing. But the fact remains that with every passing minute, there are more people which are going up, and it is not clearly visible from here, but there is a lot of movement of cranes and heavy earth mover machinery towards that. My sense, putting it all together, is that I'll show you that. Now, this is a very important visual. Sudesh will show you. You'll see a long, the long trunk of that crane. That's the long arm of a crane. This crane is used for extremely heavy lifting of equipment, and this crane has been positioned right under where the tail of the aircraft is. So now this becomes very, very important. We earlier saw the JCB, which was trying to clear the debris which had fallen all around this area. The debris was cleared, and now this crane is being positioned here. There is another big crane which is yet to move, which is standing away on the left-hand side from your frame. You won't be able to see it because it is covered, behind a lot of green cover. But this crane moving at this spot tells us something very, very important. There are a lot of people right on the top, and since morning we have been seeing how this area was being cleared. They in fact then demolished some of the part of the roof to try and make way as far as this entire operation perhaps is concerned. There were also ropes which were used to try and secure this. Is there going to be an attempt now to pick this entire tail section, which is the last intact section as far as this entire big Dreamliner 787 is concerned? So whether they are going to pick it up and take it down from there so that they can get some idea, investigate it properly, and see whether the black box is somewhere to be found there, because it's a race against time as far as the black box is concerned. Not because the black box would damage after some time, but the fact is, if the black box is in any condition, it has to be retrieved so that important data can in fact be retrieved from the black box. It's largely a plug-and-play kind of a device, and once it is procured, once it is secured, it will be taken for further investigation. But like I was telling you, every moment it seems that there is some degree of increased activity as far as this entire area is concerned, with that heavy crane also moving in. My sense is it's a matter of time when there is an attempt made to try and get that tail section out, from the place where it is stuck. This is exactly where at 1:40 yesterday, about 28 hours ago, this plane in fact crashed. And of course, after that, the entire story that the country and the world watched in absolute disbelief.
Oh yes, it did. And Ankit, it's still not sinking in for a lot of families that are grieving, for a lot of people who otherwise fly in the skies. They are wondering what if you were on that ill-fated flight. I'm just going to thank Ankit for the moment, but with a promise that we'll keep you updated with these images. What is the action as far as the black box is concerned? And like I said again and again, the tail has the black box, something that holds the key to the entire investigation. But there are stories that must be told. There are stories of individuals who today are no more. But there is also a story of a lady called Bhumi Chauhan. Now, why is this story so special? Because it's a traffic jam, quite literally, that saved her life. She was supposed to be on this flight. She misses it only because of a traffic jam. Listen in to what she says.
मेरी फ़्लाइट का टाइम था 1:10 का, तो हमें पहुंचते थोड़ा 12:20 हो चुकी थी और 12:10 को एयर इंडिया वालों ने चेक इन और सब कुछ करना बंद कर दिया था। अहमदाबाद का थोड़ा ट्रैफिक, हम लोग ये सिटी एरिया में थोड़ा एंटर हो चुके थे, तो उस वजह से थोड़ा हमको लेट हुआ था। और एट द टाइम आई वॉज फीलिंग टोटली नम एंड एक तरह से अच्छा मैं अपने भगवान का थोड़ा माता जी का और सब शुक्रिया कर रही थी कि मैं बच गई। लेकिन दूसरी साइड ये भी था कि ये जो इंसिडेंट हुआ है वो बहुत ही थोड़ा टेरिफाइड है।
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Genzol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV. If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. A horrific tragedy in Ahmedabad. 241 people, they lost their lives, many more on the ground though. But one person, he lives on to tell a tale which can only be defined as a miracle. We will unravel his story, but first, let's take a look at the headlines. A day after the crash, the focus remains on locating the black box. The black box, remember, is the key to unraveling this entire disaster. Efforts are underway to retrieve the black box. In fact, safety review of the Boeing 787 fleet is also underway in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he is in Ahmedabad. He visited the crash site. He also visited the civil hospital. Prime Minister Modi, he meets the former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani's family as well.
जैसे मेरा डोर टूटा ना सब, तो मैंने देखा ना जब सामने थोड़ा इधर पेश है, मैं ट्राई कर सकता हूँ निकलने के लिए, तो मैंने ट्राई किया निकलने के लिए, तो फिर मैं निकल गया उधर.
The lone survivor Vishwas Kumar narrates his ordeal. In fact, Prime Minister Modi also met with the lone survivor. He says that the door broke on impact and he jumped out of the aircraft. The survivor said that he did not think that he would survive. Israel strikes Iranian nuclear and military targets. Iran launches over 100 drones towards Israel. US President Donald Trump, in the meanwhile, warns Iran to agree to the nuclear deal or face even more brutal attacks. Ramesh Vishwas Kumar was on board that ill-fated Air India flight AI-171. He miraculously survived the fatal mishap in which all the other passengers and the crew members, they lost their lives. He is currently receiving medical treatment at the Ahmedabad Civil Hospital. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, also visited the C7 ward of the hospital where 25 injured people, they are undergoing treatment. In fact, speaking from his hospital bed, this 40-year-old man, Vishwas Kumar, he told the media that he was a British national and was traveling to Britain with his brother after visiting his family in India. Listen in to what he had to say.
अहमदाबाद से लंदन के लिए जो फ्लाइट जा रही थी, उस फ्लाइट में 242 लोग सवार थे और उनमें 2 पायलट थे और इसके अलावा 10 क्रू मेंबर थे और 230 जो आम लोग थे जिसमें विदेशी भी शामिल थे. विश्वास कुमार इस समय हमारे साथ हैं. आपको बता दें कि विश्वास कुमार इकलौते ऐसे शख्स हैं जो उस हादसे में जिंदा बचे और ये एक तरीके से चमत्कार है क्योंकि ऐसे चमत्कार बहुत ही कम देखने को मिलते हैं. प्रधानमंत्री यहाँ पर पहुंचे, विश्वास कुमार से उन्होंने बातचीत की, उनका हालचाल जाना.
सर ने पूछा कि कैसे हुआ, तो मैंने उसके बारे में बताया और सब हालचाल पूछा सब.
विश्वास, अगर हम जानना चाहें कि आप थोड़ा सा बता पाएं कि ये हादसा कैसे हुआ था, क्योंकि ये एक बड़ा चमत्कार है जिस तरीके से आप वहाँ से इकलौते ऐसे शख्स हैं जो जिंदा बचे.
वो मेरे नज़रों के सब सामने हुआ था. मेरे खुद को भी बिलीव नहीं होता कि मैं कैसे उसमें से जिंदा बाहर निकला, क्योंकि थोड़ा टाइम लिए कि तो मेरे को लगा था कि मैं भी मरने वाला हूँ, लेकिन जब मेरी आँख खुल मैं देखा ना तो मुझे लगा मैं ज़िंदा हूँ. तो मैंने ट्राई किया, जब मेरी सीट थे वो मेरी बेल्ट निकाला, मैंने वो ट्राई किया जहाँ से निकल सकता वहाँ से, तो मैं निकल गया वहाँ से. मेरे नज़रों के सामने एयर होस्टल और दूसरे आंटी अंकल सभी उसमें मैच हो गए थे सभी.
अच्छा, थोड़ा सा बता पाएँ, जब जैसे ही टेक ऑफ हुई फ्लाइट क्या हुआ था और अचानक से कैसे हादसा हुआ?
टेक ऑफ के बाद 1 मिनट के अंदर ही जब टेक ऑफ हुआ ना तो सडनली 5-10 सेकंड कैसे लगा जैसे स्टक हो गया वो. बाद में से मेरे को लगा कि कुछ हुआ. बाद में प्लेन में लाइट ऑन हो गई, ग्रीन और वाइट. बाद में वो पता नहीं वो प्लेन टेक ऑफ ज़्यादा करने के लिए वो रेस बोलते हैं क्या, रेस दिया होगा ऐसा कुछ, और सीधा स्पीड में ही घुस गया जहाँ वो क्या था वो
हॉस्टल था, एक हॉस्पिटल का.
हाँ, हॉस्टल में. और सब सामने सब हुआ.
ये जब फ्लाइट जब क्रैश हुई उस समय हॉस्टल पे लैंड की थी, उसी समय आप बाहर निकले थे?
नहीं, क्योंकि आई थिंक मेरे को जब मैं जो साइड पे था ना, वो साइड हॉस्टल पे नहीं लैंड हुई थी। हॉस्टल के जो ग्राउंड फ्लोर है ना, जैसे नीचे, वहाँ लैंड हुई थी। तो मुझे दूसरे के बारे में मेरे को पता नहीं, लेकिन मैं जहाँ लैंड हुआ था ना, वो नीचे की साइड थी। तो जब वहाँ थोड़ा पेस भी था प्लेन के जब बाहर, तो जब जैसे मेरा डोर टूटा ना सब, तो मैंने देखा ना जब सामने कि थोड़ा इधर पेस है, तो मैं ट्राई कर सकता हूँ निकलने के लिए। तो मैंने ट्राई किया निकलने के लिए, तो फिर मैं निकल गया उधर, क्योंकि अपोजिट साइड पे था ना, वो बिल्डिंग का वो था ना दीवार, तो उधर से कोई शायद नहीं निकल सका होगा, क्योंकि उधर पूरा उधर ही क्रैश हुआ था। मैं जो जहाँ था वहाँ थोड़ा पेस था। फिर भी मेरे पता नहीं मैं कैसे बचा हूँ, क्योंकि मेरे नज़र के सामने ही सब 2 एयर होस्टल वाले अंकल आंटी सब उधर ही सब।
आप पैदल चल के आए वहाँ से निकल के?
हाँ, और थोड़ा जब आग लगी ना, मेरा लेफ्ट हैंड भी जल गया थोड़ा। फिर एम्बुलेंस मेरे को उठा लेके इधर आया हॉस्पिटल में।
अभी इलाज वगैरह कैसा हो रहा है? अभी कैसा फील कर रहे हैं आप?
इलाज बहुत अच्छा है, यहाँ के लोग बहुत सपोर्टिंग है, बहुत अच्छा इलाज कर रहे हैं सब।
In fact, this miracle survivor of the Air India crash, his name is Vishwas Kumar, Ramesh Vishwas Kumar. You call it luck, you call it destiny, but he was the only person out of the 242 passengers and crew on board to survive this tragic accident. Now, here's what is known about how he survived based on his own accounts as well as the multiple reports. He was seated in 11A, which is an emergency exit seat on the left side of that Boeing 7878 Dreamliner. And this location, in fact, it proved to be very, very crucial. He reportedly stated that the plane, it broke apart shortly after takeoff and that he was thrown out of the aircraft. He, in fact, also says he was speaking to the doctors, he was speaking to the media, that his seat, in fact, it detached. He was flung clear of the wreckage while still strapped to it. This also, in fact, suggests that he was ejected from the disintegrating aircraft. And this is the floor plan of that aircraft, and this is where he was seated, 11A. That is where Vishwas Kumar was seated. In fact, he then landed near the ground level, which is likely that minimized the impact and then shielded him from the immediate engulfing flames there. The presence of mind of this man, in fact, worked in his favor, because after being thrown out, he then managed to unbuckle his seat. He, despite his injuries, disorientation, he limped away from the burning wreckage, even as he saw the other people dying around him. He is said to be sustained injuries, bruises, but he's reportedly out of danger. And his survival, it is being described as a miracle due to the catastrophic nature of this entire crash. In fact, we'll try and make sense of how did he manage to survive. I'm currently joined by Flying Officer Itisha, Air Traffic Control, Indian Air Force. Officer, welcome to NDTV. Firstly, I want to understand from you, the ejection mechanism. He has spoken to the media. He says that, from an engineering and crash dynamics perspective, how would you explain this clean detachment and then the later ejection of this passenger from that particular seat? How do you see that? How crucial is it?
See, basically, emergency exit. Am I audible? Please confirm to that.
Yes, please go.
Yeah, so basically these exit points which are made in the Boeing are designed in such a manner that with any initial impact itself, they break open. So that is where how he got his window and he could get out of it. And he was rightfully seated on 11A, as we all know about it. So basically, engineering-wise, it was devised. The aircraft is designed in such a manner in any eventuality, whether it is a impact on the ground or whether it is crash landing on the sea or it is crash landing on the ground.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you at this moment, but big breaking news that is coming in at this point. The black box of this aircraft has been recovered. It has been found on a building rooftop. This black box, remember, is the key to the crash, the entire probe. As far as this particular crash is concerned, this black box, in fact, will reveal the reason of the entire crash itself. In fact, this is big breaking news that is coming in at this point of time. The black box has now been recovered, and we can confirm it here on NDTV. It was found on the building rooftop, and it will in fact give us all the reasons, reveal all the reasons of this entire crash. All right, we'll try and go back to my colleague Ankit Tyagi, who's there on the ground. But this is what we know so far. The black box from the Air India flight that crashed in Ahmedabad, it has been recovered. And this has been recovered from the rooftop near where the aircraft has crashed, where this Boeing 787 Dreamliner aircraft has crashed. The authorities, they were searching for the black box for some time, and now it has been recovered. It is quite important and quite crucial as far as this entire development is concerned. Remember, this black box, it will, it is not a single device. It usually refers to two separate devices, that is the flight data recorder as well as the cockpit voice recorder. And this is crucial because black boxes, they're absolutely crucial in aircraft accident investigation for multiple reasons. Number one, for uncovering the cause of the crash. The data and as well as the audio that is being that has been recorded by the black boxes, it provide investigators with an objective second by second account. In fact, my colleague Ankit Tyagi, who is there on the ground, joins us live. Ankit, take us through the latest. We understand that the black box has been recovered now.
That's the most important news which is coming in at this moment. The black box or the flight data recorder has been recovered of the AI-171. And let me show you where it was exactly recovered. The information from the press note that we have received is that right on this rooftop, and this is where we have been reporting since morning, there was a lot of activity, as I was saying. The 40-member AAIB team, the Air Accident Investigation Bureau, their 40-member team was able to recover the black box from this very area, which you are seeing on your screens, which we have been showing to our viewers since morning. This is the tail end. And let me very quickly, Osama, tell you, and we have been repeating this since morning, the black box, which is not black in color, orange or a yellow color device, which holds two important functions. So people sometimes confuse that as two black boxes. It is one black box with two important functions that is placed in the tail end, the tail end area of the aircraft. Now, this is in fact kept in this area and is able to take a lot of punishment and is able to withstand a lot of heat. And what we know at this moment is that has been recovered. One very important thing, Osama. Yeah.
We'll very shortly come back to you. In fact, Vishnu Shom also joins us from the newsroom here. Vishnu, we understand that we have recovered the black box. Please go ahead.
Details that we've got at this stage. This is coming in from the government that the Accident Investigation Board has begun full work, and that includes work on the digital flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, which are parts of the black box, which has been recovered from the rooftop. It has been recovered from that same rooftop where the tail section of the aircraft had smashed into. That's the area which Ankit was describing, and I hope you've got that video up as well of that particular location. Earlier video which had actually emerged was of another component of the aircraft, some sort of a video recording device, but that at this stage the big breaking news is that the black box of the aircraft has been located. Now, the black box of the aircraft of the Boeing 787 is located in the tail section of the aircraft. It is composed of two components. One is the cockpit voice recorder, which records the conversations of the cabin, of the cockpit crew, in other words, the pilots. That recording would be there for approximately 2 hours, after which, it gets deleted, and then there is fresh conversation which is recorded. But we want to know what happened in the final few seconds over here. Therefore, that 2 hours is great, but we'll get that important cockpit voice recordings of what the pilots have said, number one. Number two, another part of that black box is the DFDR, or the Digital Flight Data Recorder. That has more than 1,000 parameters of data on the aircraft. What was the aircraft performance like? What airspeeds did it achieve? What was the performance of every component of significance in the engines? Was there a depletion of thrust? Are there any indicators of a bird hit? That may not, they can give an indicator perhaps of a bird hit without necessarily identifying that. What was the position of the control surfaces on the aircraft? What was the exact speed of the aircraft and the thrust on the engines at the time when they rotated? In other words, they started climbing. Was there a loss in thrust of the engines, which are otherwise incredibly reliable engines from General Electric, each developing 70,000 pounds of thrust or so, moments after takeoff? What was the reason? What did the pilots do at that stage? Was there an improper retraction of the flaps which took place? Was there some sort of misunderstanding within the cockpit? There are multiple theories. As importantly, are there indicators of problems with the fuel supply? Some say that could be a reason as well. There are many reasons. Is this a maintenance issue, a mechanical issue, a pilot error, or all three? All of this will now come out. Now, assuming that black box, which Ankit correctly pointed out, is not black in color, it's sort of pinkish orange in color. Why? Because it's meant to be reflective. It's meant to be something that attracts the attention of people going looking for it. If it is in an okay state, then there are solid data recorders which, as I mentioned, record the audio and separately record data on the flight parameters. Those are essentially plug and play in modern aircraft. They are hooked up to a computer, a laptop, or some other systems, and data is then downloaded seamlessly from that. And that data would give investigators a preliminary idea of what they are looking at. On the basis of that, they can actually take immediate decisions that, no, we perhaps have a larger problem on the basis of which we need to take these steps. What Air India will be looking out for is whether there is evidence of something which is unexpected, which points to a systemic maintenance concern or a potential maintenance concern across the entire Dreamliner fleet. Remember, Air India operates 33 Dreamliners, 27 I believe, or 26 27 was earlier on with the Air India fleet, which one of them has crashed. The remaining aircraft were from Vistara. Vistara's aircraft, which are now part of the Air India fleet, are the 787-9, somewhat different, elongated fuselage, more seats, etc., etc. But this was a 787-8 of the original order. Is there a concern over there which might prompt the regulator to ask for these aircraft for on a temporary basis to be grounded to rule out any problems? Now, if that is a step that India's regulator takes, if, and I repeat if, then that is something that aviation safety boards around the world would be looking at. There are thousands of Dreamliner aircraft in operation around the world, and perhaps if there is a larger concern on the Dreamliner itself, it might end up affecting other fleets. At this juncture, we do not know this, but even a potential grounding of Air India's Dreamliners could be devastating for the airline. It has more Dreamliners than any other aircraft in the category of twin-aisle long-haul aircraft. So that's why all of this hinges on the data coming out from the black box, as it were.
Right, Vishnu, another point that I want to understand from you is this is a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. It's a modern aircraft. It has advanced systems. How does that, that fact affect the type and volume of data that we are, that it might provide us?
No, it will provide you immense data. It's an extremely sophisticated aircraft. It has a fly-by-wire control system, which means that the control surfaces of the aircraft are moved as a result of electrical inputs, as opposed to a system of pulleys and cables which existed in aircraft which were much older. Therefore, there is an electrical interface for essentially every important component of this aircraft. That is recorded across multiple parameters on solid-state data recorders, right? Essentially hard drives, sophisticated hard drives, drives, which are designed to be ruggedized, kept in a container which is designed to be able to absorb G-forces which take place during a shock, intense temperatures. It can be immersed as well in water and still come out and still function. You've gotten hold of this from atop that building in Ahmedabad, and that digital flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, which collectively are known as the black box of the aircraft, will now be analyzed. There will be more than 1,000 items, parameters, moment by moment, second by second, of what, for example, was the engine doing at this time, what was the fuel flow, what was the airspeed, what was the status of signals, was there an error message? If there was an error message, what were the systems which were generating error message? So all of this is coming in, will start coming in once the digital flight data recorder data starts coming in. Now, the big question is, will there be preliminary indications from the digital flight data recorder which will be made public, or are we going to have to wait for an extended period of time? Remember, the UK regulator, the American regulator, and Boeing itself are also a party to this entire investigation, with, of course, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation being in the lead. But they are accountable to their own systems, accountable for the safety of their own airlines, which also operate Dreamliners, and therefore one would assume that if there is basic information which affects the security, or I beg your pardon, the safety of Dreamliner operations, then that would come out quite soon. But let's see if that happens.
Right, Vishnu, beyond the raw data, what other supplementary information, will be integrated with the black box data to build a complete picture?
Well, there is multiple data, as I mentioned, across various systems. So in the case of plane crashes, it's that data which would indicate the likely cause of a crash. But whenever there is a crash, in almost all of the cases, it's never one factor which resulted in a crash or which results in a crash. There are multiple factors. For example, if there is an issue with the engines, what has caused that? Is there a maintenance issue? Who is responsible? Is there a simultaneous pilot error? There are all sorts of ways of looking at it. The flight data recorder is an initial starting point. But let me quickly go across to NDTV's Ankit Tyagi, who's been reporting now almost non-stop for 24 hours from that crash site. And Ankit, go ahead with the information that you have.
Since morning we were discussing, when you were also, since early morning were anchoring from the studio, giving us all the information about the importance of the black box, because that remained the focus of the investigation. NDTV, in fact, confirming it now that through you that the black box have been recovered. And we were discussing that this tail end of the aircraft and this entire roof, this entire area becomes the most important focus point as far as this investigation is concerned. Now, what we are, like you were mentioning, this is the very rooftop that the black box was recovered from. A 40-member investigation team, which has been relentlessly working to try and recover that black box. And after it was done, right after that, we saw heightened activity post that as well. What they were trying to do, they broke the entire boundary wall of this roof, which was still intact. Then, of course, other structures from this roof were broken. Just about half an hour back, Vishnu, a JCB machine was brought in here to try and clear the debris of the wall and of the other, bricks and all, which was lying all across under the tail. And after removing the debris, two heavy cranes have been brought in here. The expectation is, since the black box has been recovered, they are going to very quickly, in fact, try and clear the debris. This is the largest intact part of that aircraft, Air India 171, which is at this moment at the crash site. It will be very soon, taken off from here. Early at about 10:30 a.m., the SDRF and the NDRF were given a go-ahead to clean the entire crash site. And I believe after the recovery of the black box, that process only, hastens up. They will be, what sources are telling us, that it may take about 2 days, about 48 hours for this entire area to be cleaned up. As I was telling earlier, the radius of this entire crash site is more than 600 meters with charred buildings and a lot of vehicles, cars, scooters and other things which were on the ground. And of course the big aircraft, the entire cockpit, the entire body of the aircraft, all that has been burnt absolutely. The mangled remains of all that is on the ground. So that is being cleared, though I've been told that it won't be cleared in one go. The instructions have been given to clear it section by section so that it can be packed and taken for further investigation, Vishnu.
Ankit, what are the next immediate steps once the black box has been secured? What are the next immediate steps? Will they be transported for analysis? Where will they be taken now?
Well, as you were saying, Osama, Vishnu was also telling us earlier, so modern aircraft black boxes are largely a plug-and-play kind of devices. Most likely, they are in absolute intact conditions. Of course, the outer shelling of the black box is designed to take a lot of beating, high temperatures, even fire or, freezing temperatures as well. So all that taken into account, the black box will be taken with the AAIB, that is the Aviation Accident Inquiry Board and Investigation Board. And what they will do, they will try, of course, with Boeing, because we heard the Tata Group chairman also saying that teams from United Kingdom and United States of the Boeing have also arrived to assist in further investigation. So there will be some laptop, some computer, some device which possibly is spared as far as that black box is concerned. It will then be plugged in and the data will start coming out. Two important set of data. One of the cockpit voice recording, which tells you in those 52 seconds from when the aircraft started taxiing and in its attempt to gain elevation, what was the conversation in the cockpit and between the pilot and the air traffic control. Number two would be the important parameters, and as Vishnu was telling us earlier, about 1,000 parameters of the aircraft are recorded as far as this black box is concerned. This is going to be very, very crucial to understand whether it was a mechanical failure or it was a pilot error which resulted into this accident. The other important factor would be to immediately see, Osama, whether there needs to be some, immediate steps that need to be taken regarding the other Boeing 787 Dreamliners, because remember, this is the wide-body aircraft which is extensively used, not just by Air India, but by many airlines across the globe. So they would also be waiting for some indications from this investigation to see whether it was one-off or there is some systemic problems as far as Boeing aircraft is concerned, which need to be corrected. So that would be on the black box part. Here, on the crash side, like I said, this is all this debris is just not going to be wrapped up and thrown away. This debris is going to be carefully collected and then taken to, in fact, for the investigation where Boeing and other investigators will try and put together and see where exactly were the pressure points on impact, what broke first, how did the fire begin, and what all happened as far as this aircraft is concerned. So all these pieces will also play an important role in trying to give us answers of this extremely, puzzling question of how an aircraft so reliable since 2011 when it commercially made its debut has never had an accident like this. And this is the first time the wide-body Dreamliner has, in fact, suffered this kind of an accident, and an extremely fatal one. So this would, in fact, hold the key to many questions.
And as Ankit was mentioning, this entire data that has been recorded by the black boxes, it will provide all the investigators with an objective second-by-second account of what exactly happened in that moment leading up to and during the crash. And it will also help determine if the accident was caused by mechanical failure, human error, weather conditions, or any other factor. Ankit Tyagi, thank you very much for getting us all the details. Time for a very short break. We'll be back with more.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
The day after the Ahmedabad plane crash, the black box has finally been recovered. Prime Minister Modi is in Ahmedabad. He visited the crash site. He also visited the civil hospital and met with the former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani's family as well. The lone survivor, Vishwas Kumar, he narrates his ordeal. The Prime Minister met with Vishwas Kumar, who said that the door broke on impact and he jumped out. He did not think that he would survive, is what Vishwas Kumar told the Prime Minister. Israel strikes Iranian nuclear military targets. Iran launches over 100 drones towards Israel. US President Donald Trump, in the meanwhile, wants Iran to agree to nuclear deal or face even more brutal attacks.
Why was there a hurry? Was it the government that was in a hurry?
I don't want to blame anyone.
Joining us today here in the NDTV newsroom.
Government cannot walk away from this responsibility.
Cricket is region of sort in this country.
Would you like to comment on what happened?
What is the condition of the injured at this point? How many people died?
What exactly happened? You have lost your daughter.
In the wake of Pahalgam, all eyes on the Amarnath Yatra. Amidst fear, faith and fortitude. India's biggest fight against terror. NDTV reports on the holy route, the Amarnath spirit.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I
or
hold
buy time to invest in
CDSL
for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools, and lead with impact. Starts July 13th. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered. where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with
Welcome back. A passenger, Naresh Vishwas Kumar, he was seated in 11A, that seat 11A, and he miraculously survived this plane crash. Being the sole survivor, this raises questions about seat safety on planes and whether certain seats are safer than the others. Shivarur gets us this incredible report.
This is the sole survivor of Flight 171, and his name is Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, British Indian national, the only man who survived the tragedy. 241 people died, but this man survived with minor injuries. As you can see, he's not in bad shape at all, just some superficial injuries, and he's being treated in hospital. And his survival has not only shocked and astonished people everywhere, but has also made people wonder whether there is something called a safe seat. Now, we are not experts and we can't actually talk about that, but let's show you what a seating configuration on an aircraft actually looks like. This is the seating configuration on a 787. It's a wide body, as you can see, 333 configuration, and 11A is that blinking dot that you see right down there. 11A is just forward off the wing, just 2 rows in front of the of the wing structure. Now, we can't speculate just yet where the aircraft fractured, where it broke open, where Vishwas Kumar Ramesh was ejected from the aircraft from, and in what circumstances. All we do know is that every other seat in this aircraft that was occupied, the person in that seat did not make it. There were children, there were women, there were men. None of them made it, but 11A's occupant Vishwas Kumar Ramesh actually did. This has triggered a huge debate online and offline over whether there is any such thing as a safe seat in an aircraft. When an aircraft is crashing, it is difficult to talk about anything called a safe seat, but there's this huge buzz and curiosity about whether it has anything to do with the location of this particular seat, and we will continue to highlight what experts think about this.
Meanwhile, by the luck of fate, Bhumi Chauhan from Bharuch in Gujarat, she narrowly escaped death when she missed that ill-fated flight AI 171 that crashed, claiming the lives of 241 people on board. And guess what? It was a traffic jam that saved her life.
मेरी फ़्लाइट का टाइम था 1:10 का, तो हमें पहुंचते थोड़ा 12:20 हो चुकी थी और 12:10 को एयर इंडिया वालों ने चेक इन और सब कुछ करना बंद कर दिया था। अहमदाबाद का थोड़ा ट्रैफिक, हम लोग ये सिटी एरिया में थोड़ा एंटर हो चुके थे, तो उस वजह से थोड़ा हमको लेट हुआ था। और एट द टाइम आई वॉज फीलिंग टोटली नम एंड एक तरह से अच्छा मैं अपने भगवान का थोड़ा, माता जी का और सब शुक्रिया कर रही थी कि मैं बच गई, लेकिन दूसरी साइड ये भी था कि ये जो इंसिडेंट हुआ है वो बहुत ही थोड़ा टेरिफाइड है।
Meanwhile, to take us through the last 10 flights of the Dreamliner, my colleague Shivarur gets us this report.
The last 10 flights that have been taken by this particular aircraft, its registration number is VTANB. On the 7th of June, I just want to show you the last 10 flights. 7th of June, it flew a very normal flight from Delhi to France. The very next day, this aircraft, in fact, the same day, the aircraft flew right back. And this was all completely normal. I'm talking about the exact same aircraft, airframe that has crashed. Then there was a flight from Delhi to Melbourne on the 8th of June, and then Melbourne straight back to Delhi on the 8th of June, the same day. Then you had Delhi to Tokyo on the 9th of June, and then Tokyo back to Delhi on the 10th of June. These are the last 10 flights. I just want to give you a sense of how busy this aircraft has been, and it's difficult to imagine that it is no longer there. Delhi to France on the 11th of June, and then France straight back to Delhi on the same day. So this was a busy aircraft that was conducting all manner of flights. Delhi to Ahmedabad on the 12th of June was the flight towards Ahmedabad, and from Ahmedabad the next day, of course, is the ill-fated flight that never made it, and it crashed in Ahmedabad. So 10 different flights. This is what the journey of VT ANB actually looks like. It was a busy aircraft, one of many 787 Dreamliners in service with Air India, and the first crash of this aircraft type, that's the dotted black line that you see there, was supposed to be its last flight, but it never really made it.
Meanwhile, another heart-wrenching story, and this time of an 8-month-old Muhammad Ibrahim. He gave sample to identify his father, Muhammad Adnan, who was on board that flight. Muhammad Adnan, along with his wife, Mantasha, and son, Ibrahim, they had come to Ahmedabad for Eid celebration, and both Mantasha and the son, Ibrahim, could survive as they had their return flight on the 21st June, whereas Muhammad Adnan, he had to board that flight on 12th to return back to London. NDTV spoke to Dr. Nabil, who's the brother-in-law of Muhammad Adnan, who brought the 8-month-old Ibrahim for giving DNA sample.
हमारे साथ डॉक्टर नवीन हैं और जिनके ब्रदर इन लॉ फ्लाइट पे थे और उनका 8 महीने का जो बच्चा है उसने सैंपल दिया है, उनको ये लेके आए थे. क्या कैसे आपको पता चला और क्या ये पूरा हादसा हुआ, जरा अगर बताना चाहेंगे.
सर, हमको तो न्यूज़ के थ्रू ही पता लगा इस हादसे के बारे में, और बस बाकी तो सबको पता ही है सर, जो हुआ वो.
नहीं, जैसे कि आप बता रहे हैं उनकी वाइफ और बच्चे यहाँ थे, वो आगे गए, इस तरीके की बात समझ में आ रही है.
जी सर, वो उनकी फ़्लाइट अगले हफ्ते थी और वो इस हफ्ते उनका मतलब जाने का था, उनके हस्बैंड का. तो बस यहाँ ड्रॉप करना है हम, और विद इन फ्यू मिनट्स पता लगा कि ये हादसा हुआ.
उनका नाम बताएंगे?
मोहम्मद अदनान.
मोहम्मद अदनान जी पहले जाने वाले थे, उसके बाद वाइफ और बच्चा जाने वाला था, और आपने उन्हें ड्रॉप किया था.
मैं मतलब फैमिली वाले आए थे ड्रॉप करने.
Meanwhile, the Ahmedabad plane crash near a medical college hostel, it resulted in tragic loss of lives. In fact, this collision with the building, it led to devastating consequences with multiple stories of survival as well as loss that is now emerging from the aftermath of the Ahmedabad plane crash. This is the story that we get you from inside the BJ Medical College tragedy. The tragic stories from the college hostel itself. In fact, my colleague Aishwarya Jain joins us to get us more on this. Aishwarya, take us through the latest. What is the condition of the injured students as well as the other medical staff there?
Well, till now, 212, I beg your pardon, 212 DNA samples have been collected, and it is continuously the senior officials from the hospital authorities, the BJ Medical College, and just few minutes back I saw the health minister of Gujarat government, Hrishikesh Patel, also entering and giving specific instructions to fast pace the DNA testing. As far as the samplings are concerned, they had been taken from different people. The family members are continuously coming to the civil hospital over here, giving up their samples to know about their family members, and certainly there are different stories, different voices coming up since morning, and as you can see in the visuals now, no one is being allowed. Only those whose name had been registered from the information desk, they are only being allowed to enter, while the family members of those are patiently waiting outside the civil hospital as well. But it is apart from it, from Gujarat government to the central government. Specific instructions to doctors have also been given. These family members have been stating that until and unless they are not being given any sort of information, they will not be moving out. These are several emotional voices coming out from the people who are coming out from different parts of the country whose family members were there on the aircraft. But apart from it, as we reported early in the morning as well, there were 15 plus 26 different people who were injured in the hospital, the doctors who were there at the hostel premises, the undergraduate students over there. Those who had been injured were also rushed to the civil hospital, and we've been told that most of them had been completely out of danger. One lone survivor is also now keeping well, is something that we have been told by the doctors as well at the civil hospital, and continuously the DNA sampling is being taken over. The senior officials are here at the spot.
Right, Aishwarya, also in terms of support, what kind of support is being offered to the families of the people who have lost their lives as well as the injured who are admitted there?
Well, of course, number one, the Tatas have announced 1 crore rupees compensation to the next kin of the deceased, the family members of this tragic air crash. Apart from it, at the hospital premises, the Gujarat government is giving all sort of assistance. The travel facility from different parts of Gujarat, if they are coming by road, there had been special arrangements which had been made from the railway department yesterday to the family members. There were special trains that were arranged as well, and also here at the hospital I can see since morning different organizations coming in to give certain help as far as providing them food or other kind of measures. There are different counters which had been set up as well, which are providing them all sort of assistance if they came up in a rush. There has been by the Gujarat government facility which has been opened just inside the civil hospital so that they can rest, and the rooms are open for these people. But as I can see since morning, and I've been speaking to a lot of them, some have been saying that it's from 8-month-old baby to 80 years old, all were there, and certainly they do not want it to go from this particular place until and unless they get any specific kind of information. Rather, they are sitting over here, they are waiting for their turn to come, and they do not want it to go. There have been repeated requests that have been made by the hospital authorities, and the health minister himself is going across to meet the family members so that there could be relief that could be provided to them. But local MLAs to the MPs to Gujarat government administration, all are here. It's on providing them as much as support as they can possible.
All right, Aishwarya Jan, thank you very much for getting us the latest from the ground there. In fact, this tragedy, it has sent shockwaves through the global aviation community. It has raised questions about safety, about oversight, about accountability. Meanwhile, NDTV, we spoke to the family members of the victims from across the country, be it from Maharashtra, Gujarat, even from Agra and the Northeast as well.
हमारे साथ डॉक्टर नवीन हैं और जिनके ब्रदर इन लॉ फ्लाइट पे थे और उनका 8 महीने का जो बच्चा है उसने सैंपल दिया है, उनको ये लेके आए थे. क्या कैसे आपको पता चला और क्या ये पूरा हादसा हुआ, ज़रा अगर बताना चाहेंगे.
सर, हमको तो न्यूज़ के थ्रू ही पता लगा इस हादसे के बारे में, और बस बाकी तो सबको पता ही है सर जो हुआ वो.
अपर्णा महादिक, ये अहमदाबाद से लंदन जा रही जो फ़्लाइट क्रैश हुई कल अहमदाबाद में, उसमें क्रू मेंबर थी. मुंबई के गोरेगांव इलाके की रहने वाली थी, और यहाँ पर जो उनके आसपास रहते हैं अखिलेश चौबे जी, वो हमारे साथ हैं. अक्सर दोनों वॉक पे मिला करते थे, एक साथ वॉक भी किया करते थे. उनसे बात करेंगे कि अपर्णा किस तरीके की व्यक्ति थी और क्या कुछ था. सर, बहुत दुखद घटना अहमदाबाद में सामने आई, जहां पर तकरीबन 200 से ज़्यादा लोगों की मौत हो गई। उनमें से आप ही की सोसाइटी में रहने वाली एक क्रू मेंबर अपर्णा महादिक भी थी। और किस तरीके से आप उनको जानते थे, क्या वो कैसे व्यक्तित्व था उनका?
हमारी सोसाइटी में जो है एयर इंडिया के काफ़ी पायलट्स और क्रू मेंबर्स रहते हैं, और हम लोग जो है नीचे वॉक करते समय या जो सोसाइटी के सार्वजनिक कार्यक्रम होते हैं उसमें एक दूसरे को मिलते थे, एक दूसरे को जानते थे। और कल फ़ोटो देखने के तुरंत बाद जैसे ये घटना घटी और उसके बाद जैसे अपर्णा का फ़ोटो आया, मुझे ऐसा लगा कि हमारे कोई जान पहचान वाले एक्सपायर हुए हैं। हमने फ़ोन करके फिर पता किया, और पूरी सोसाइटी को ऐसा लग रहा है कि सोसाइटी का कोई अपना चला गया है। वैसे तो पूरे देश के लिए बहुत दुखद घटना है, बट हमारी सोसाइटी के लिए विशेष दुखद हो गया।
और सर, किसी से बात हो पाई है, उनके परिवार से आपकी बात हो पाई है, और उनका व्यक्तित्व कैसा था? वो किस तरीके की व्यक्ति थी? जब आप वॉक्स पे मिलते थे तो क्या कुछ था उनके बाद, थोड़ी जानकारी?
देखिए, फिटनेस फ्रीक थी, रूटीन वॉक करते थे, मॉर्निंग में दिखती थी, और ऐसी घड़ी में घर से परिवार वालों से क्या बात करें वो समझ में नहीं आता है। तो सारे लोग दुख में हैं। अब जो है सोसाइटी में जब भी आगे उनकी डेड बॉडी वगैरह आएगी तो उसके बाद जो भी प्रोग्राम कार्यक्रम होगा।
माई इंटरव्यू से 23 फेब्रुआरी लास्ट वीक लाम इंटरव्यू होइदनेबा अदुदुगा joining na April to boy the April date fix ai haibu ti kawe haibu ngamje aduduga adudagi join to ina mase to yo pass ne ba mase yo ka waraga DM commerce ta pass in exam piram maga pass try shuma je ai try to ke sikana haibu ne ba adi ha mahan evasion ko to ana iskeno satte ba sinda chatte ba adu interview of look in haraga adu pass try da ma ke join to boy ye thingdei mamang da koi ba sik ina ko se ko le me ba adu video call ta pandi question adu matung di phone call su duga ai sabli kana to tre ba aduga masi message thar ko se mana ai London chatui ne ngasi do loi call to su chaloi ko le na cha di da ma halakani hai ba ai okay.
All right, breaking news coming in at this hour. The DGCA has now directed Air India to carry out additional maintenance checks on the Boeing 7878 aircraft. These are the enhanced safety inspections that is going to take place on the Boeing 787, 8 and 9 fleet of Air India. In fact, my colleague Tanushka joins us. Tanushka Datta joins us to get us more on this. Tanushka, can you provide more details on the DGCA's directive and what specific maintenance checks will be carried out?
Right, Osama. So this is, of course, in view of the horrifying accident that happened yesterday. And what we do know from the DGCA is that it's, of course, at this point, cracking its whip upon upon Air India and specifically the Boeing 787 Dreamliner aircraft with the Gen X engines. And with immediate effect, these sort of additional maintenance and scrutiny actions are to be taken in coordination with the concerned regional DGCA offices. Now, what are these additional maintenances? First, one-time check before departure of the flight from India with effect from 15th of June onwards. Inspection of fuel parameter monitoring and associated systems are to be checked. Inspection of cabin air compressor and associated systems as well. Electronic engine control system test is also to be done. Engine fuel-driven actuator operational test and an oil system check is also to be done before taking flight. Serviceability check of the hydraulic system and review of takeoff parameters also to be done. Other checks such as flight control inspection, power assurances checks to be carried out within 2 weeks. And closure of maintenance action based on the review of repetitive snags during the last 15 days are also to be submitted at the earliest to the DGCA. Now, this report of these above checks are to be submitted to the DGCA for review, and these issues with the approval of competent authority are also to be made. So, with effect from 15 June, essentially, these additional maintenance and additional scrutiny is to come down upon Air India by the DGCA.
Tanushka, give us a sense of how will this impact Air India's flight operations, and are there any expected delays or cancellations?
There are not any expected delays or cancellations with respect to this particular notification. At large, of course, with the entire incident happening and the accident happening rather, it's massive tragedy. That may affect cancellations and delays. But with respect to this particular, notification that has come in, this is simply just the DGCA putting in stricter measures for the Air India, specifically for the Boeing 787 Dreamliner.
All right, Tanushka Datta there. Thank you very much for getting us all those details. Time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi posted on his social media saying that he visited the crash site in Ahmedabad today. The scene of devastation is saddening. Met officials and teams working tirelessly in the aftermath. Our thoughts remain with those who lost their loved ones.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि एनडीए सरकार में हम अगले 10 साल में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करके रहेंगे। अटल से तो विकसित भारत की तस्वीर है। प्रेरणा और प्रगति जब एक साथ जुड़ते हैं तो एक नए युग की नींव पड़ती है। भारत माता की
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Genzol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have 2 credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong,
right.
And transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Jaggi brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias
is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has.
Very good evening and welcome to this special edition of Nationwide at 6. I'm at this moment since the last 24 hours in Ahmedabad, where yesterday, just about 28 hours back on Thursday at 1:40 p.m., the airliner from Air India, which was on its way from Ahmedabad to London, the Dreamliner Boeing 787 crashed here. And since then, the entire world and the country has watched this story unfold in absolute disbelief. I just want to start with the most important piece of information that we have at this moment. Just about 45 minutes back, we were able to get confirmed information that the black box of this aircraft has been recovered. Where I'm standing at this moment is just near about 50 meters from the crash site, from where this plane, which could not gain, required elevation, it was absolute power failure. The plane did not, the engines were not able to provide it the thrust that it needed, and right after takeoff, just after taxiing, in just about 52 seconds, the plane crashed on the first floor of this building, which is the mess of the hostel of the junior doctors of BJ Medical College, all of them employed at the civil hospital in Ahmedabad. And just on that roof, which you see at this moment, where you can see the tail section with the Air India logo also marked, the half of that section right on top of it, which is called the fin of the aircraft, that broke and is about 150 meters from that. Under this is the landing gear, which is still hanging as we speak. Now, this entire area was cleared. This was the focus of the investigation as far as more than 40 AAIB officials are concerned. That's Aviation Accident Investigation Body Bureau, and all of them since about 11:30 last night have been trying to find the black box, which we have now been told has been recovered, and that becomes the most crucial piece of evidence as far as this entire investigation is concerned. The black box was recovered from that very roof, and just a short while back, some heavy earth movers and cranes were moved, in fact, in this area at 10:30 a.m. this morning. The entire accident crash site, the green light has been given to clear the debris, which are strewn about 6 to 100 meters from this tail. 5 charred buildings. A couple of them that you can see from here are the testimony of the kind of impact and then, of course, the inferno that ensued after this aircraft, which was carrying tons of aviation fuel, crashed here. Bodies, 241 on board, 242 on board, 241 out of them burnt beyond recognition, charred bodies, and the process, of course, very painful for the families, which has just begun. A wait which would be even longer, for them for about 3 days before they can take whatever remains of their loved ones. But at this moment, this entire focus area is where everybody's eyes were. And let me very quickly tell you a little bit about how important the recovery of the black box is. The black box, though the name is a misnomer, because the box actually is a bright orange yellow kind of a color which is put on it, so that every time there is this emergency like this, an accident like this, it can be easily recognized and is picked up. It carries 2 different compartments and they play a very crucial role. One, they record the cockpit communication between the pilot and the co-pilot, and also with the ATC. Apart from that, it also captures the various beeps and the sounds. Possibly many warning sounds, went off in that aircraft because of what happened in just 52 seconds. All those will become crucial in the aftermath and the investigation. The other important aspect are the more than 1,000 parameters on which the mechanical signals are picked up from this entire aircraft. Those signals which are various functions of the aircraft that tell you how the aircraft is functioning, what functions of the aircraft are normal, what are not. All that will then determine what exactly happened with this flight which crashed and 241 people on board died. What we have also been told is that the death toll of those who were here in this mess and in the area around could also go up. So we are looking at a catastrophe of more than 250 lives being lost as far as this entire accident is concerned. What we also know from the hospital, that's one aspect, of course, is the investigation which is taking place here. The other important aspect is the life of those which have been completely shattered and changed after this accident. 10 bodies have been identified and have been handed over to their loved ones, to the families. But the wait for over 250 people still remain. Let me very quickly go across. Let me check if I have my colleague Aishwarya. All right, it will be a short while before Aishwarya joins us. He's at the civil hospital where, to say the least, this takes a toll on people, those who are covering it as well. But by no means, while saying that, there is any comparison to what has happened as far as the people, those who have lost their loved ones. And yesterday in the night, when I had gone to the Kasauti Bhavan, which is a makeshift staging area for DNA sampling, which is taking place, the scenes there, any kind of adjective that I would use would fail to describe what was happening there. People, those who were in absolute abject conditions, totally breaking down because they've lost their son, a mother who was trying to, in fact, give a sample. Imagine many of those people, those who had come there for the first time, were even hearing of anything called DNA profiling. Few of the stories that we'll play later would also tell you, ladies and gentlemen, about how people have been struggling to cope, to come to terms with what has happened here in Ahmedabad, one of the worst tragedies, air tragedies across the globe, and certainly the worst in India. One person, and as I've been saying, that on the 242 on board, one person survived. If you calculate the chances, that will be 0.0001% of all the coincidences coming together for anybody to survive this kind of crash. What we have been told, and I very quickly also want to tell our viewers, about 250 meters from here is where one of the doors of this aircraft broke and fell. 11A, right on the top of the aircraft, right in the front of the aircraft is the seat where Vishwas Kumar Ramesh was sitting, an Indian origin British citizen. He is the person who has defied all odds and survived this ordeal. Let's listen in to what he told DD News.
मेरे खुद को भी बिलीव नहीं होता कि मैं कैसे उसमें से जिंदा बाहर निकला.
The miracle man who defied death. The lone survivor among the 242 on board the fateful Air India flight that crashed in Ahmedabad on Thursday. As the disturbing images of the plane turning into a ball of fire numbed the nation, the video of an injured man in a blood-stained white t-shirt limping his way out of the debris became the image of hope amid distress. He is Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, the sole survivor and passenger of the ill-fated flight. Vishwas was on seat 11A. He later recounted the crash horror and his unbelievable escape from the hospital where he's being treated for burns.
वो मेरे नजरों के सब सामने हुआ था. मेरे खुद को भी बिलीव नहीं होता कि मैं कैसे उसमें से जिंदा बाहर निकला. क्योंकि थोड़ा टाइम लिए कि तो मेरे को लगा था कि मैं भी मरने वाला हूँ. लेकिन जब मेरी आँख खुल गई मैं देखा ना तो मुझे लगा मैं जिंदा हूँ. तो मैंने ट्राई किया, जब मेरी सीट थे वो मेरी बेल्ट निकाला, मैंने वो ट्राई किया जहाँ से निकल सकता वहाँ से, तो मैं निकल गया वहाँ से. जब मैं जहाँ लैंड हुआ था ना वो नीचे की साइड थी, तो जब वहाँ थोड़ा पेस भी था प्लेन के जब बाहर, तो जब जैसे मेरा डोर टूटा ना सब, तो मैंने देखा ना जब सामने कि थोड़ा इधर पेस है, मैं ट्राई कर सकता हूँ निकलने के लिए, तो मैंने ट्राई किया निकलने के लिए, तो फिर मैं निकल गया उधर.
Vishwas is a 40-year-old British national who was visiting family in India. He was returning to the UK with his elder brother, Ajay Kumar Ramesh. An eyewitness also told NDTV that he saw Vishwas being flung out of the burning plane.
कैसा हुआ कि हमें भी ये यकीन नहीं था कि कोई बच के निकलेगा. जैसे वो हमें ऐसा लगा जब मैंने वो जो आधा जो प्लेन ब्रेक हुआ ना सर, तो जो ब्रेक होने का जो पॉइंट था उस पॉइंट पे शायद वो बंदा बैठा हुआ था. तो जैसे ही ब्लास्ट हुआ, ऐसे ब्रेक हुआ ना, तो उछल के वो नीचे, उस पे भी फ्यूल तो उड़ा, उसको आग तो लगी, पर वो जो दूसरे लोग जो जल गए, जैसे सीएम और भी जो पैसेंजर्स जो बच ही नहीं पाए जल गए, वो जैसे ब्लास्ट होके नीचे पछड़ा के नीचे गिरा.
Vishwas has lived in London for 20 years, where his wife and child also reside. In Leicester, Vishwas's brother is both relieved and sad. Happy to know that Vishwas survived, but broken at the loss of their other brother.
Yeah, that's the only thing he was worried about. He wasn't even worried about himself or any injuries that his body has. He was just worried about finding my other brother.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday morning visited Vishwas in the Ahmedabad hospital. Vishwas's story is nothing short of a miracle. The only glimmer of hope amid the sordid story of death and destruction. An NDTV Bureau report.
Right, that was, as many are calling him, the miracle survivor. But let me very quickly, as we were telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that the black box has been recovered. This is now being confirmed by the Civil Aviation Minister, who came here last evening as well and was accompanying the Prime Minister in the morning. The Civil Aviation Minister has put out on X, and I'm quoting him here, the flight data recorder, black box, has been recovered within 28 hours from the accident site in Ahmedabad by the AAIB. This marks an important step forward in the investigation. This will significantly aid the inquiry into the incident. Now, it's very important because if you calculate this, it's not very
many hours ago that the black box has been found. So while we were reporting through the morning here, it was when all that you saw in our continuous coverage that there were a lot of people, and the area of interest became this very rooftop that we have been pointing to. That's where the black box was recovered. That is what the Civil Aviation Minister is also in fact confirming. Let me very quickly go across first on this news to my colleague Aishwarya. Aishwarya, Civil Aviation Minister, confirming the development that the black box has been indeed recovered, and it has been done by AAIB.
Well, certainly. Remember, Ankit, the investigation was handed over to the Aviation Accident Investigation Bureau in collaboration with the International Civil Aviation Organization, and that was leading the entire investigation with US, UK and Indian authorities also getting the charge. The DGCA, the prime investigative authority in this particular case, also was handling the entire investigation. And now it's a very important step as far as the investigation is concerned. Within 28 hours of the crash, Ram Mohan Naidu, Civil Aviation Minister, has now tweeted and stated that the black box have been recovered. That will certainly now unfold and unravel many theories that were coming out, the exact facts, the data which will come out from this black box. And as Ram Mohan Naidu stated that this will significantly aid the inquiry of the incident. We'll get to know as to how the flight came down.
Right, so that's the part of the investigation. But like I've been saying, and throughout our coverage, don't forget the human cost of this accident. 241 on board who have perished, and also the toll on the ground likely to increase. We have been told that the overall death toll could be well beyond 250. Aishwarya has been continuously reporting from the hospital, and as I was telling you earlier, viewers, that when you go to that place, that's where this actually hits you. Of course, the enormity and the magnitude here, and then of course when you meet the relatives, people, those who somebody who said bye to his daughter, young daughter, who was going to London, and within just most of them, those who must have dropped their kith and kin here at the airport, even before they must have reached their houses, this bad news struck. Aishwarya, heartbreaking scenes at this moment coming in from the hospital. Two places, one where the DNA sampling is taking place, and on the other hand, the post-mortem house, where many people coming only wanting the last glimpse of whatever remains of their loved ones.
Well, certainly very emotional stories coming out from the civil hospital here in Ahmedabad. People coming out from different parts of the country to get their DNA tested so that they can get the bodies of their loved ones who have lost. In fact, Imtiaz is with me. Imtiaz, what is your story? Who were those people who were there in the Air India flight amongst your family members, and what you wanted to convey to our viewers via NDTV?
सर बेसिकली क्या है मालूम, मेरा सगा भाई था और वो फैमिली में एक हैप्पी, मेरा भाई था, उसकी वाइफ थी और उसके 2 बच्चे थे। 4 फैमिली मेंबर चले गए और मैं एयर इंडिया से, और एयर इंडिया को कौन पूछेगा, कौन उसका जिम्मेदार, आगे क्या प्रोसीजर होगा। ऑलरेडी पास्ट में पास्ट में भी 2 बार हो चुका है, उस पर क्या हुआ था, इसमें क्या होगा, क्या कंटिन्यू ऐसी रहेगा। हमारी फैमिलीज आज 242 समथिंग पीपल की डेथ हो गई, क्या हमारे ऐसी फैमिलीज इनकी लापरवाही से हमारी फैमिलीज जाते रहेगी। मीन्स फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग, अगर कोई फील करे ये चीज़ कि खुद की फैमिली मेम्बर से ऐसे चले जाए, तो कौन इसका जिम्मेदार कौन है।
अभी कुछ ही देर पहले एक नोटिफिकेशन आया है सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्ट्री की तरफ से एयर इंडिया और स्पेसिफिकली बोइंग को लेकर कुछ स्पेसिफिक गाइडलाइंस और इनहांस करने को बोली गई हैं। आर यू हैप्पी विद दिस स्टेप दैट द मिनिस्ट्री हैज टेकन?
नहीं, मैं अभी जो सिचुएशन है ना, उसके लिए कोई भी मतलब अब बने बाद में हो, उसके लिए क्या हैप्पी। अभी आगे जाके फिर कोई वजह से प्लेन क्रैश होता है, प्लेन को कुछ होता है, फिर एक स्टेप ऑलरेडी पहले से क्यों नहीं की है, पहले से सब कुछ प्रिपेयर करके क्यों नहीं रखे। जब फ्लाइट आई थी कहीं से यूके से या पेरिस से रिटर्न आई थी, उसको ओके किसने किया। ऑब्वियसली उसको ओके किसने किया? 242 फैमिलीज की कोई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं है। छोटी छोटी चीज़ों के लिए लोग मर जा रहे हैं। और कोई बहुत ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि प्लेन बहुत चला गया, कुछ टेक्निकली इशू बाद में। प्लेन जस्ट मतलब टेक ऑफ किया है और इंजन ऑफ सीधा डाउन, और फिर विद इन फ्यू सेकेंड, सीरियसली। तो मतलब ये क्या कैसे हो सकता है ये?
आप बता रहे हैं आपकी फैमिली मेंबर्स से 4 लोग थे?
यस 4 लोग थे। मेरा भाई था, उसकी वाइफ थी और 2 बच्चे थे उनके।
Do you heard from him? He is clearly raising
Aishwarya, if you can hear me
itself, that whatever we have, yeah.
Yes, Aishwarya, if you could hear me, and if Imtiaz is still with you, it's a difficult time. I don't know how to put any question as far as Imtiaz is concerned. A man who has lost his brother, his sister-in-law, and 2 children. Can just Imtiaz, beyond this tragedy, would you speak to him? Just ask him about his family. Why were they here? How old were the kids, and what was happening in their family? Why were they in India? Were they residents of UK? Just a little bit about the family, please.
Okay, of course. Imtiaz, yes, of course, there are several questions that are being raised by many in front of the Air India, but specifically want to ask about your family, because family is very important. You have lost 4 of them. Why they came to India? क्यों आए थे? और क्या एज थी उनकी? और क्या वो ब्रिटिशर्स थे या फिर इंडियंस ही थे? क्यों जा रहे थे?
एक्चुअली 11 ईयर्स पहले वो स्टडी के बेसिस पे वो गया था। उसको वहाँ का माहौल बहुत अच्छा लगा, स्टडीज़ अच्छी लगी, तो उसने वहीं पे शादी करके फिर वो सेटल हो गया। और ऑलरेडी उसके पास ब्रिटिश पासपोर्ट भी था, और उसकी जो वाइफ थी और जो बच्चे थे वो ऑलरेडी ब्रिटिश बॉर्न ही थे। वो उसकी वाइफ ऑलरेडी ब्रिटिश थी, UK बेस्ड ही थे, और उनकी फैमिली भी बहुत अच्छे से वहीं सेटल थे पहले से। तो लाइक ये आया था सिर्फ मम्मी के लिए और ईद के लिए, इस तरीके से ईद मम्मी के साथ एक हैप्पी मोमेंट हो जाएगा। उनको हार्ट स्टेन्स लगे हैं तो और भी प्रोसीजर होना है, तो मैं जाके ईद मना लूँगा उनके साथ अच्छी। और हम लोग चारों भाई बहन कभी भी 15 साल के दौरान एक साथ चारों नहीं मिले, कभी एक मिला, कभी 2 मिले, कभी ऐसे कनेक्ट हुए। तो इस बार ये माहौल बना कि हम चारों साथ में मिलते, हम मिले, मम्मी से मिले, उनको बहुत हैप्पी मोमेंट बनाए। हर चीज़ परफेक्ट थी, एकदम परफेक्ट। अभी 2 हफ्ते बाद मम्मी को फिर एक स्टेन डलवाना है, तो ये सब प्रोसीजर में थे। और 1 मंथ बाद मेरी बड़ी सिस्टर भी जाने वाली थी UK। आफ्टर 2 to 3 मंथ मैं भी जाने वाला था, कुछ बिजनेस रिलेटेड। तो ये सभी प्रोसीजर चल रहा था और बीच में ये हादसा हो गया।
बच्चों का क्या एज था और आप लोग कहाँ बेस्ड हैं?
मैं तो मुंबई में ही बेस्ड हूँ और जावेद लंदन बेस्ड था। और बच्चों की एज थी, जो लड़का था वो 5 to 6 ईयर्स था और लड़की 4 ईयर्स की थी, उसकी छोटी बेटी।
अच्छा, लास्टली क्या यहाँ पर आप आए हुए हैं, DNA सैंपल्स आपके ले लिए गए हैं? और
रात में मैंने DNA सैंपल्स रात में आते बराबर, ये हमारे भाई डॉक्टर हैं, इन्होंने मेरे को कंसल्ट किया कि पहले आप DNA सैंपल दे दो, बाद में अपन बाहर सर्च करते हैं कोई हॉस्पिटल में। तो मैं पूरा हॉस्पिटल सर्च किया हूँ, हर हॉस्पिटल में, एक होप के साथ कि कहीं वहाँ तो नहीं है, कहीं वहाँ तो नहीं, कहीं कुछ नाम में गलती, क्योंकि इतनी अफरा तफरी थी कि हो सकता है मतलब कोई मिस्टेक हो जाए। तो मैंने पूरे हॉस्पिटल सर्च किया, यहाँ पे कहीं भी वो नहीं मिला। और फिर इन लोग जो बॉडीज़ की बात करें कि बिल्कुल जल चुकी है, नहीं पहचान सकते, ये नहीं, तो एक्सेप्ट नहीं हो रहा है, दिमाग माइंड को एक्सेप्ट नहीं हो रहा कि ये हो सकता है और ये वही होगा। अब वो DNA पे ही खाली मालूम रहेगा कि हाँ ये वही है।
अब तक रिस्पॉन्स मिलने का कुछ पता है?
संडे का उन लोग ने लास्ट टाइम दिया है, अभी अनाउंस किया था संडे तक रिपोर्ट्स देंगे। तो लेकिन वो संडे तक भी 300 पीपल्स को कैसा देंगे? आज फ्राइडे ऑलमोस्ट ख़त्म होने पे, कल सैटरडे, परसों संडे, और आज उन लोगों ने सिर्फ 6 बॉडी सबमिट की है लोगों को।
Aishwarya, I don't
297 bodies.
I can't imagine how Imtiaz has been able to keep his composure while he's speaking to you. It's humanly, seriously not possible in a situation that he is in. Can you just ask him one last question before I let you and him go? Has he told his mother? Because, she, a patient, like he was saying, is due for a surgery. Does she know that she has lost a son, a daughter-in-law, and 2 grandkids?
Well, in fact, a brother of Imtiaz is also with me. क्या आपने, जैसे इम्तियाज़ ने भी बताया कि मदर के स्टेन के लिए आए थे, उनको देखने के लिए भी, और एक ईद सेलिब्रेशन भी हो जाता, क्या अब घर पे इंफॉर्मेशन दी गई? मदर को बताया गया इस चीज़?
अभी तक मदर को नहीं बताया गया, क्योंकि उनके हार्ट के इश्यूज है अभी भी, और वो इतना बड़ा हादसा वो उनको अभी बताया नहीं है। उनको यही बताया गया है कि अभी जांच चल रही है, शायद एडमिट का बताया गया है।
And how is the family reacting to it?
बहुत बुरा रिएक्शन है, मतलब मातम ही छाया हुआ है पूरी फैमिली में, क्योंकि छोटे 2 बच्चे थे साथ में, आप समझ सकते हो कितना बड़ा वो।
So, a family from United Kingdom came to celebrate Eid over here. They were returning back with the family, but an unfortunate, tragic, in fact, incident took place with them. All the 4, husband, wife and 2 children lost their life. They haven't informed their family because it's a very, very, very emotional and a heartbreaking moment for them. Mother specifically, who is suffering from a heart disease.
Absolutely. My heart goes out to this family, and so are our sympathies and condolences. But how do you tell a mother, an aged mother who is ailing, that her son, who had just come to see her on Eid, has passed away in this most horrific fashion, along with his wife and 2 of her grandkids? I can't imagine how these brothers will get themselves together and, in fact, tell this to their mother. Thank you, Aishwarya, for joining us. Such stories. And at this time of grief, it's just not coming in from Ahmedabad, but also from across the country. My colleague Harsha joins us. A lot of people on this flight were from Udaipur. Harsha, heartbreaking, narrative that we just heard from Aishwarya, but there is absolute sorrow in Udaipur and other places in Rajasthan as well.
Their last selfie, which was caught on camera, Dr.
Okay, I think I've just been... Harsha, if you can hear me. All right, I think we've lost that line with Harsha. Let me go across to Ratnadeep Chaudhary, my colleague, who is also reporting on this story. Northeast also, Ratnadeep, hit by this tragedy. The crew members, cabin crew members, a few of them were from Northeast. And like Aishwarya was telling us, it's just in a flash how life has changed for many people there as well.
Her 20s, from Thaubal district of Manipur, a village girl who had dreams of flying, and therefore during her graduation she appeared for the entrance into Air India. She cleared it. In 2023 she got her job, and just before the flight she spoke to her elder sister Gitanjali, in fact to whom we did speak on NDTV as well, and she said that I'm flying to London, so for a while we will not be able to talk. Let me reach London and try to do a video call, but perhaps that video call is no more possible. And in fact Gitanjali, her father, have left for Ahmedabad to give their DNA samples to look for the body of Ningthoi Sharma. In the same way, in Kangkopi district of Manipur, another girl, El Sing Song, who was herself a victim of the 2023 ethnic violence in Manipur, when they had to leave their home in Imphal and take refuge in the shelters made in Kangkopi district for a long time. In fact, Sing Song had lost her father several years back. Her mother has raised her with 2 other brothers, and it was only in 2024 when she got a job with Air India that the family was able to actually rent out a small house in that district town of Kangkopi. Complete shock, complete sadness is there in that family. The mother has somehow gathered some courage to take an Air India flight out of Imphal to Delhi and onwards to Ahmedabad for giving her sample to look for the body of her only daughter. Her 2 sons remain back in Manipur. They had only faced violence in 2023, and now this tragic incident in their life has completely changed their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Harsha is back with me. Let me very quickly go across to her. Harsha, as I was asking you earlier, we heard that heartbreaking story from Aishwarya, who's at the civil hospital in Ahmedabad. But, Udaipur and Rajasthan are also not untouched with this tragedy. Many heartbreaking stories coming in from there as well.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, there were 12 people from Rajasthan who were on that flight. And there have been very, very tragic stories coming in from Rajasthan as well. For example, Mr. Modi, whose two children, Shubh and his daughter Shagun, were on that flight. Both the children, in fact, young MBA students, they were going for a holiday. Their father's a successful businessman. He's lost both his children. We went to his family home, but actually he had moved to Ahmedabad, obviously, doing the rounds of the hospitals like other relatives are. Also, that heartbreaking story of Komi Vyas and Dr. Pratik Joshi. Remember Dr. Pratik Joshi, we had reported that story as well. He was moving to London and he was taking his family back with him to settle there, to start a new life. And that selfie that he took just before just when he was in that flight, just before that flight took off, and you can see him smiling with his wife next to him and the three children sitting in the aisle across. And then there is Khushbu. That Raj Purohit family is in complete and utter shock. Khushbu from a very small village in Jodhpur. It's in fact even further away from Jodhpur. It's a small town called Balotra, and she's from a small village. And Khushbu, we saw those Instagram pictures of her crying. She was on her way to meet her husband. She'd just been married 5 months back, and there was a tearful goodbye from her family. Her father came to the airport to leave her. And her father took that last selfie with her. And, even as he was driving back, he had barely left the airport when he heard that, there's been an air crash. He's come running back. Her husband, Dr. Vipul Rajpurohit, is a doctor in London. He's a medical student. She was going to, meet her husband. So there are innumerable stories like that. There are those two cooks from Udaipur who work in, London. One of them had just come back because he had come for his father's last rites, and he was going back. He used to go there regularly, work in the house of a businessman and come back. There's a young, Abhinav Parihar from Bikaner who has a business there. In fact, his wife, he leaves behind a young wife and a young child. They were in London and he was going back to join them. He'd set up a business there. And there is, of course, that young girl, Payal Khatik, who is settled in Gujarat, but, she's originally from Rajasthan. Now, she was also going to pursue further studies. She'd got admission. All the families are in shock. We've managed to speak to extended families because, obviously, immediate family members are all in Ahmedabad.
Right. Thank you, Harsha, for joining me. And imagine now, in some way, all these families from different parts of the country connected forever in this most unfortunate fashion, where people from across coming on from various parts of the country who have died in this aircraft crash, and their families now, their last moments, their loved ones' last moments, all connected together. Anuj is also with us from Badlapur, where another family which has lost, in fact, is facing devastating loss because of this aircraft crash. Let me go across to Anuj. Anuj, just tell us about the family and also what you have picked up since now.
There are many families. Just like how my colleagues have been reporting from all across the country. In Mumbai alone, there are several families, especially of the crew members, who have been affected because of this tragic incident that took place yesterday. While we, as Harsha ma'am said earlier, we did try to reach out to their immediate family, but most of them had moved to Ahmedabad for the DNA testing. I'm in Badlapur to meet the professor of co-pilot, Clive Kundar here. He used to study in the Wilson College, and we came here all the way to Badlapur to have a conversation with his physics professor who taught him from 2008 till 2010. And she spoke, very openly and extremely emotionally about how smart, disciplined and talented, this particular co-pilot was. Yeah, she broke down, in fact, while recounting memories of him. And she also spoke about how the Wilson College will be holding a special prayer for their young pilot who lost their life yesterday. Besides that, there's also a church to where he used to be a regular goer. And even that church is going to hold a special prayer session in memory of their very dear co-pilot. Now, the captain here in this case, Captain Shabarwal, who was also from Mumbai, his story is also very emotional. He was a single man. He used to live with his father, who is in his 90s. And last night we saw the local MLA did go there to visit him, and the father was speechless, right? The father did not know what to say. He wasn't able to emote what he was feeling and wasn't able to put his emotions in words either. And that exactly is the state with the majority of the family members, especially of the crew members. And they all talked about how their last conversation with those on the plane, or those in the crew, were about how they were excited to go to UK. And especially in case of the captain, he had said very clearly to his father that this is probably going to be one of his last flights, and he'll come back to spend more time with his father.
That more time that he wanted to with his father, that will never come. Those were the last words of the captain to his father, where he said he will try and spend more time with him. The father would regret this flight forever, after what has happened. Sad, heartbreaking tragedies from across the country. With that, we are slipping into a very short break. Our coverage continues here from the ground in Ahmedabad. Stay tuned.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
That's huge. That is a biggie. It's out there.
Gold Plus Clear Glass. Far ho ya near, sab kuch dikhe clear.
Why was there a hurry? Was it the government that was in a hurry?
I don't want to blame anyone.
Joining us today here in the NDTV newsroom.
Government cannot walk away from this responsibility.
Cricket is region of sort in this country.
Would you like to comment on what happened?
What is the condition of the injured at this point? How many people died?
What exactly happened? You have lost your daughter.
In the wake of Pahalgam, all eyes on the Amarnath Yatra. Amidst fear, faith and fortitude. India's biggest fight against terror. NDTV reports on the holy route, the Amarnath spirit.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold
CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
गोल्ड प्लस ऑप्टिमिस्टिक रिफ्लेक्टिव ग्लास लगाओ, धूप की गर्मी को दूर भगाओ और बिजली का बिल भी बचाओ।
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools, and lead with impact. Starts July 13th. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting.
There is some breaking news coming at this moment. The Doctors Association, in fact, has said that according to the Vice President of the FEMA and the JDA, that's a Junior Doctor Association of the BJ Medical College, as per now, they can confirm that 6 people died as far as this institution behind me is concerned. That included 4 MBBS students and 6 relatives of the resident doctors died. As per them, there are 24 students which are undergoing treatment as of now, and the total figure of the dead as per this tweet which has been put out at this moment with information is 270. That's a staggering number of the dead which we are, which we are picking up at this moment, ladies and gentlemen. That's the latest which is coming in. So 241 on board and 10 at least from here. That takes it to 251. Who are the other 19 people? That would also have to be seen. In fact, remember, there are 2, a mother and daughter from the mess. Those who were cooking here have also died as far as this crash is concerned. So that's the latest coming in on the overall casualty figures. Moving on now, since it's been more than 28 hours that when I arrived, that crash took place. I arrived here yesterday at about 8:45, and since then, every scene here is only telling the story of the magnitude of this devastation. Take a look at what we saw last night and this morning. And the courage to go across to that lady who is sitting there weeping, only asking that she wants to meet her brother. This family has come from Diu. Her brother was on board the flight. She went there and inquired about what they need to do. They have absolutely no idea about this DNA sampling. They've traveled through the day to come to Ahmedabad from Diu by road, and all she was asking that I want to see my brother. Doctors were telling them that they have to give a DNA sample, and only after that there could be any identification that would be possible. It's heartbreaking what this plane crash has done to these families when it engulfed in that ball of fire earlier today. it also burnt with it many, many families, relations, bonds, all engulfed as this plane crashed here in Ahmedabad. This is where the plane eventually went into this building. Very heavy sense of burnt insides of this building, because I can still smell something burning. In fact, the temperatures here, it's totally malign, completely mangled right now. And this is where it had gone into. I'm completely at the backside of that building. We have circumvented and we have come this side, and you can see the point of impact and the debris. It also tells you this is the wall of this building, and not very far from here is the actual airport wall. The airport wall is very close to where I'm standing at this moment. And let me just ask very quickly, यहाँ से जी airport की दीवार कितनी दूर है?
बहुत दूर से, मतलब maybe 3 to 3.
So what you will see just beyond this is the airport wall as well, and that tells you that the plane was not able to gain any elevation. The doctors, 4 junior doctors and 1 senior, they were the ones, those who were having their lunch here. And this is the building where they in fact passed, but they were killed when during the impact of the plane. And it very clearly, you can see this, it's a big piece of that plane which is still intact, hanging. And I'm sure this is going to be a very, very important and critical part of the investigation, of the crash investigation. I'm just trying to, and I spoke to a few NDRF people while we were on the Home Minister speaking at that moment. And what we were told is that about 90% of the work has been done. Let me also show you something else. This is the entrance of the mess, and this is the entrance of the mess. Sudesh will show you, and this is where a lot of damage took place. Just take a look. It's very, very sad, in fact. And it's an irony here. There is a small temple under this tree. The tree somehow has survived, but just beyond this tree, look at the debris. When you see something like this, I mean, how life for all those people, those who were on board this flight, hoping to reach London, how life very, very quickly changed. This is part of that aircraft which you see at this moment right behind Sudesh, and beyond that are hundreds of these bags which have been collected from the debris. It just breaks your heart to see what all people must have packed in their hope, in their journey towards London, and all that now crashed, burnt for their families. All that is left is death and devastation. Those 52 seconds, the last image of this plane, Air India Dreamliner, on its way to London. It could not take off. The result was crashing in this building, the very mess where I'm standing. You saw the landing gear hanging, and this is the exact place where the landing gear, which could not, in fact, even go inside the plane, that's where it crashed. That's the part of the plane when it had that impact, or it came inside this building. All that is left here is the mangled remains, the broken buildings. There are mattresses strewn all around. This was the mess as far as the hostel is concerned. This is where the junior doctors' mess was, and all across this place, it's just broken pieces, broken buildings, absolutely shattered glasses. And when I go inside, what I want to show you, ladies and gentlemen, is something that absolutely is heartbreaking. While they were, it was just any other day, afternoon, lunch was being prepared, and in the end, it turned out to be one of the biggest tragedies that this country has ever seen. I will just go across, and I want to show you all around. This place is still very, very hot, fuming. That's where all the plates were lined up. The crockery was lined up for people to pick up and start eating. And of course, that you would see our food is the food which is left, which has not been consumed in these plates, waiting for the doctors, like every day they used to come to this place and finish bench. Plates after plates of young men, those who used to come here. It's completely, there is a lot of water because of the fire services they had to use. I just want to show you, it's heartbreaking. It literally is heartbreaking to see the food waiting to be consumed even after many hours of this tragedy. All these plates, Sudesh, all these plates that you see here, at this moment, they were made ready. People had picked these plates up. They came to eat. I want to show you this. Sudesh, just come here and focus on this table at this moment. This is the table where, and many like this, where the doctors were sitting. And this is also the place where 5 of their colleagues lost their life. Many were also injured. If I turn around just behind Sudesh, if I turn around, you will get a sense of the impact. That's where the impact took place of that plane. It completely broke the walls, broke the windows. This was part of one of the walls. A CCTV camera possibly has captured one of the very last and devastating image of this aircraft. What was left are pieces of the aircraft. What is left are suitcases strewn all around as we speak. This tells you how fragile life is and how it changed within a minute. For not only those who were on board the 241, on the 242 on board the Air India flight, but also the doctors, those who were at this moment having their lunch, sitting here, just going through their day. It's heartbreaking, it's devastating. It is a reminder of how things can change. This is the very rooftop that the black box was recovered from. A 40-member investigation team which has been relentlessly working to try and recover that black box. And after it was done, right after that, we saw heightened activity post that as well. What they were trying to do, they broke the entire boundary wall of this roof, which was still intact. Then, of course, other structures from this roof were broken. Just about half an hour back, a JCB machine was brought in here to try and clear the debris of the wall and of the other, bricks and all, which was lying all across under the tail. And after removing the debris, 2 heavy cranes have been brought in here. The expectation is, since the black box has been recovered, they are going to very quickly, try and clear the debris. This is the largest intact part of that aircraft, Air India 171, which is at this moment at the crash site. It will be very soon, taken off from here. Early at about 10:30 a.m., the SDRF and the NDRF were given a go-ahead to clean the entire crash site. And I believe after the recovery of the black box, that process only, hastens up. They will be, what sources are telling us, that it may take about 2 days, about 48 hours for this entire area to be cleaned up. So there will be some laptop, some computer, some device, which possibly is spared as far as that black box is concerned. It will then be plugged in and the data will start coming out. 2 important set of data. One of the cockpit voice recording, which tells you in those 52 seconds from when the aircraft started taxiing and in its attempt to gain elevation, what was the conversation in the cockpit and between the pilot and the air traffic control. Number 2 would be the important parameters. About 1,000 parameters of the aircraft are recorded as far as this black box is concerned. This is going to be very, very crucial to understand whether it was a mechanical failure or it was a pilot error which resulted into this accident. The other important factor would be to immediately see whether there needs to be some, immediate steps that need to be taken regarding the other Boeing 787 Dreamliners. Because remember, this is the wide-body aircraft which is extensively used used not just by Air India, but by many airlines across the globe. So they would also be waiting for some indications from this investigation to see whether it was one-off or there is some systemic problems as far as Boeing aircraft is concerned, which need to be corrected.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
तू ही तो है जिसकी सच्चाई वाली क्लैरिटी की वजह से मैं आज यहाँ हूँ।
गोल्ड प्लस सिल्वॉक्सी मिरर्स, ऐसी क्लैरिटी कि आपको सिर्फ सच नजर आए, चाहे कितने भी साल बीत जाएं।
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूँ कि एनडीए सरकार में हम अगले 10 साल में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करके रहेंगे। अटल से तो विकसित भारत की तस्वीर है। प्रेरणा और प्रगति जब एक साथ जुड़ते हैं तो एक नए युग की नींव पड़ती है। भारत माता की
the last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Genzol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV. We are tracking the horrific Air India plane crash. What was supposed to be a routine flight from Ahmedabad to London turned into one of the deadliest aviation disasters in India's history. Air India flight AI 171 crashed just moments after takeoff, killing 241 people on board, dozens more on the ground. It scattered wreckage, ruined lives, and raised questions on accountability, but also on the fragility of human life. In a single heartbeat, dreams were erased and lives shattered, families marking reunions and new beginnings, and getaways were wiped out when this plane crashed. My colleague Aishwarya joins us with more details on this. Aishwarya, you are on ground there. Tell us through the day, what all did you see? The Prime Minister was also in Ahmedabad today. In fact, he has met with the people who have been injured in this crash. And also, a lot of wreckage has been removed from the site. The black box has been found. Take us through what really happened today.
Well, that's right. Since morning, we are witnessing a series of meetings were taken place as far as the officials are concerned, from Prime Minister to Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu, Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel, all accompanied him to different sites, be it the crash site or the civil hospital, where Prime Minister met the survivors, the victims over there, and of course the lone survivor, Vishwas Kumar, who narrated the entire story to Prime Minister. Of course, several guidelines since then had been issued by the Ministry of Civil Aviation, but the major breakthrough in the investigation, as far as the Aviation Accident Investigation Bureau, in coordination with the International Civil Aviation Organization, recovery of black box after 28 hours, that will unravel many facts about how the plane crashed. That was the statement that was made by Ram Mohan Naidu in his tweet, and he also stated that further inquiry will take place. Some data that is now coming out as far as the civil hospital in Ahmedabad is concerned. We have just got an official press release in which we had been confirmed about the numbers now, specific to how many were admitted. The Ahmedabad Civil Hospital had treated around 50 injured victims. 31 were admitted, 16 outpatients, and 12 were discharged on the same day, is what the Ahmedabad Civil Hospital has been telling. 36 foreign experts across 10 FSL teams are conducting 24/7 DNA testing for the identification. The news also pouring in is that 219 relatives have submitted samples for DNA testing. Remaining families are being contacted. Remember, the foreign nationals who are arriving from different parts of the globe have been requested to also give the DNA samples, and that will happen tomorrow. Bodies of 8 persons among the victims of the residential areas around the accident site have been handed over to their relatives. So this is key information. 219 DNA samples have been taken. We have spoken to several of the family members out here at the civil hospital. They said that they have been given time to return back on Sunday, because 24 to 48 hours are something that will take place for the testing, as they are looking for their loved ones. Let me quickly show you these visuals from the civil hospital here in Ahmedabad, as the family members have come, and they are not going anywhere. They say that until and unless we do not get any concrete information, we will not move out from this location, in anticipation of if they can get some information about whether the doctors who were called in and who are living at the hostel area, or the they're still hoping that the family members at the Air India crash would have been survived, but we all know for the fact that Air India has given them official information. These are people sitting just outside the BJ Medical College Kasauti Bhavan, where family members have been called into.
Right.
Yes. Now let's quickly move on now to some other news, and what we can focus on at this juncture is to give you certain crash theories. What exactly did result in this? Remember, the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder have now been found, and hopefully in a finite period of time we will know what exactly took place. But let's play out a couple of scenarios. The first scenario, immediately after rotation, in other words, the moment the plane gets into the sky, a single engine failure or a bird strike potentially occurs, drastically increasing the cockpit workload for the pilots. The crew focused on the engine issue may have mistakenly not retracted or brought up the landing gear. That's a standard procedure post takeoff to aid climb performance. While troubleshooting in the cockpit, the plane could have slowed below the minimum speed required to maintain control, with one engine out, leading to a stall that resulted in the crash. At about 400 feet, recovery from a stall when the aircraft was not climbing is nearly impossible. The second scenario, an extremely rare dual engine failure occurs shortly after takeoff, rendering the plane a glider with no thrust. Without engine power, the crew couldn't retract the landing gear, and the resulting drag caused a rapid loss of airspeed, leading to a stall. At such a low altitude, no time to run the dual engine failure checklist or attempt an engine restart. There was no time, the crash taking place. Scenario number 3, video evidence suggests that the flaps on the aircraft, this is where the flaps in the aircraft are, but in this particular grab of the actual aircraft, it suggests that there was something potentially unusual. Video evidence suggests the flaps were retracted, which is unusual since flaps are always extended during takeoff to provide extra lift at low speeds. If a pilot mistakenly retracted the flaps instead of the landing gear during a high workload situation in the cockpit, such as an engine failure, hypothetically, it could have significantly reduced lift, especially with only one engine operational, potentially causing a stall. A fourth scenario, during an engine failure at 400 feet, the crew mistakenly shuts down the operational engine instead of the failed one. Now, that is a known error in aviation history. I would like to say at this low altitude, there would, if this took place, no time to restart the engine, leading to a loss of thrust and control. The conclusion over here, regardless of the specific cause, the crash likely stemmed from a sudden loss of thrust and the subsequent handling of the aircraft under critical conditions. This is conjecture, but this is what the pilot community is talking about. The flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, part of the black box, have been located, and we'll get the data soon.
Many possibilities there. Thank you, Vishnu, for joining us. Also joining us now is Jitendra Bhargav, former Executive Director of Air India. We also have Professor Aditya Paranspe, who is an aerospace expert, and he teaches at Monash University. Thank you both of you for joining me on this broadcast. Mr. Bhargav, I was listening to you yesterday, and you made several points on the various possibilities and what really this means for Air India and Boeing. But now that the black box has been found, sir, what can we expect in the investigation? How will it proceed, and how are the agencies likely to sort of work on this together?
Black box had been
Okay. Let's go to Professor Paranspe now. Paranspe, Aditya, you'll also, you were talking about how there is this question of the presence of double engines there, and also if there was adequate amount of thrust, power, lift that could have played an important role in what really happened. 24 hours later, what do you think could be the primary possibility of what really went wrong?
Okay, so I think we have to make a distinction between lift and thrust. In purely technical terms, lift is what helps you keep a certain amount of weight in the air, and thrust is what lets you maintain enough flight speed to keep that weight in the air. I suppose my own assessment so far is largely unchanged. I still think there was reduced thrust on both engines. There is maybe some early evidence to suggest that based purely on the visuals. There was, at least prima facie, no evidence to show that the airplane stalled. I don't think that evidence exists, although as we look at the data from the flight data recorder, that may change. When stalls happen, airplanes tend to drop really quite rapidly. We're looking at the planes having a vertical speed in the range of several thousands of feet per minute. In contrast, if data from the site flight radar 24 is to be believed, they seem to have predicted a descent rate of just over 400 feet per minute once the engines were out. And that is not consistent with stall to the best of my knowledge. What that is consistent with, however, is substantially reduced thrust on both engines and potentially a dual engine out. So that assessment hasn't changed. It's of course provisional, pending the availability of data from the flight data recorder.
Mr. Pranspi, also, what does this mean for Air India? This is, of course, a setback to the company. And what does this mean for Boeing as a company? Because this is a company that's already been under scrutiny, but this is also a part of the fleet that was considered amongst the safest. What does this, mean for these two companies and the fact that Indians had started looking at air travel with a lot of promise and hope? Where does that put us now? Okay, Mr. Bhargav is back with us. Let me take a question with him. Mr. Bhargav, now that the black box has been found, sir, and Civil Aviation Minister Rammohan Naidu has also said that this has happened in 28 hours, how critical is this discovery and what happens next?
See, at the moment, people can speculate and say this was a possible cause of accident that took place yesterday. But what the black box does is to prove and establish conclusively as to what is the cause. Since this black box records virtually everything, the altitude, the speed, the conversation that may have taken place between the pilot and the co-pilot, or with the ATC, etc., everything gets recorded. Take, for example, the pilot did know what is going wrong with it, and he told the co-pilot, I'm trying to do this to salvage, to fly, to go climb faster and all those kind of things, and then he couldn't do it. So if you get these kind of clues available, much easier. The time span may be less, but you need to get the facts out. So this device is put in the aircraft primarily for this reason, and this recorded thing, whether it's in a fire environment, whether it's on a hard landing, you name it, but this black box survives for as long as 1 year. So you are able to decode it, and it will be decoded by Boeing, will be there, India's regulatory agency, the Air Accident Bureau that we have, the Air India airline, and you get the hard data. So there'll be no room left for speculation as to what was possibly the cause of this accident. Because ultimately, Boeing as a manufacturer is interested in knowing. Air India as an airline involved in accident is also interested in knowing. So let's hope, and the families of people who perished in this flight also want to know as to what caused the accident.
Mr. Bhargav,
the finding of this black box
before I go to Professor Paranjpe, Mr. Bhargav,
is a major step.
Right. Mr. Bhargav, we're all reading about the pilots here, and the pilot, Sumit Sabharwal, was also a very senior, experienced pilot. Does this also mean that whatever happened was beyond somebody who was really experienced in this art?
It's not a question of experience and finding it out. I would go by hard facts. Because nobody would, I would hate to blame whether it's the airline or the Boeing manufacturer or anybody, because let's repeat the facts. Dreamliner, irrespective of the kind of controversies they went through the initial phase, has had a safety track record that is second to none. This is the first instance of a Dreamliner aircraft being involved in an accident. Pilots, the commander had 8,000 plus hours of flying experience. What do you do about it? And pilots are trained on simulator for virtually every conceivable situation. But here, as we found, takeoff to the crash, matter of minutes. Why it happened? Because visibility is not a factor. Weather was fine. Everything, the aircraft has a good track record. Pilot has a good track record. Now the question is, the accident did take place. So what was the reason for it? And that is where the black box will come in very handy for it to be decoded, data available, juxtaposed with previous kind of accident report, and a report conclusively established that this was the possible reason why this aircraft crashed, for remedial measures to be taken.
Thank you, Mr. Bhargav, and do stay with us also, Professor Paranspe, do stay with us. The scale of the tragedy that we're talking about, the plane crash in Ahmedabad, something that's unfolding and something that the country is witnessing is massive, and one cannot really stop thinking about not just lives of those that are lost in the aircraft, but also of those who were present at the mess where the plane crashed. Now, 250 lives lost, in fact, over 250 lives lost, and several families now in mourning. Let's get you some reactions from family members and those related to victims here.
हमारे साथ डॉक्टर नवीन हैं और जिनके ब्रदर इन लॉ फ्लाइट पे थे और उनका 8 महीने का जो बच्चा है उसने सैंपल दिया है, उनको ये लेके आए थे। क्या कैसे आपको पता चला और क्या ये पूरा हादसा हुआ, जरा अगर बताना चाहिए।
सर, हमको तो न्यूज़ के थ्रू ही पता लगा इस हादसे के बारे में, और बस बाकी तो सबको पता ही है सर, जो हुआ वो।
नहीं, जैसे कि आप बता रहे हैं उनकी वाइफ और बच्चे यहाँ थे, वो आगे गए, इस तरीके की बात समझ में आ रही है।
जी सर, वो उनकी फ़्लाइट अगले हफ्ते थी और वो इस हफ्ते उनका मतलब जाने का था, उनके हस्बैंड का। तो बस यहाँ ड्रॉप करना है हम, और विद इन फ्यू मिनट्स पता लगा कि ये हादसा हुआ है।
उनका नाम बताएंगे?
मोहम्मद अदनान।
मोहम्मद अदनान जी पहले जाने वाले थे, उसके बाद वाइफ और बच्चा जाने वाला था और आपने उन्हें ड्रॉप किया था।
मैं मतलब फैमिली वाले आए थे ड्रॉप करने।
Professor Paranspe, one thing that everyone seems to be really curious about is how did the aircraft lose altitude so rapidly? And there's this flight data that also shows that the plane lost signal at just 625 feet. What really could have happened? Was the takeoff, wrong, or in the sense, was there a problem after that? And also about the configurations that people have been talking about. What is it that you pick up from what you saw?
So going purely on the video now, it's a little speculative. So I hope my fellow collaborator engages me a little more here and just entertains it. First off, the fact that the plane took off. These planes typically take off at speeds between 150 and 160 knots. And again, from flight radar 24, we see that the plane got to a barometric altitude of about 625 feet, which is about 400 odd feet above the ground level. And at that point, the flight speed was about 170 knots. So the plane accelerated, it gained altitude, which means at the time of liftoff, most likely there was adequate thrust and the airplane was configured correctly in terms of the flap settings and such. Otherwise, the plane would not have been able to lift off the ground. Now, after that, in the second part of this flight, where we probably had an engine failure, most likely dual, because there's a good reason to believe it wasn't a single engine failure, just looking at the rudder on the way on, when the plane starts to go down. Based on the fact that we had a dual engine failure, the airplane starts to descend at around 475 feet per minute. This is probably a little more consistent with a glide or a powered glide as compared to a stall. So that is the segment that makes me believe that we have a case of engine failure. It's not a stall. It doesn't look like there was any issue with the flaps. So I probably wouldn't worry too much about it. Of course, as my colleague said, from Air India, we will obviously get the black box in our hands soon, and hopefully we'll be able to find out what actually went wrong. But at this point, purely as a matter of conjecture, it looks like a case of engine out. Now, as to why the engines went out or why they idled when they shouldn't have, that is very difficult to tell based purely on the videos, because the videos just show you the motion of the airplane, and that motion can let you talk a little more with some amount of certainty about the forces on the airplane. They can't let you talk about the systems. So if we did have engine out problems, it's very hard to say why the engines went out. Engines can go out for a number of reasons. You can have compressor surge, you can have engine flame out, you can have choked fuel lines, you can have problems with the pumps that feed fuel into the engine. Any number of possibilities, but it's only when we look at the flight data recorder that we'll be able to tell exactly which of these went wrong. It's not possible to speculate intelligently about it based purely on the videos.
Right. Stay with us, Professor Paranspe. Also, Mr. Bhargav. We are joined by Tripti Soni now. Tripti Soni is somebody who lost her brother Swapnil Soni and her two sisters-in-law in the tragedy that happened yesterday. Her sisters-in-law Yoga Soni and Alpa Soni also died in that tragic air crash yesterday. Thank you, Tripti, for speaking to us at a time like this. NDTV stands with you at this hour of grief. You lost your younger brother and two sisters-in-law in this tragedy. Can you tell us a little bit about when was the last time you spoke to them, and when did you get to know about this crash?
I lost my younger brother Swapnil and my bhabhi Yoga and my elder bhabhi, and last I spoke to them when they were on their route to airport. They were very excited to go to London. They were to receive my elder brother there, who was on the road trip from Ahmedabad to London for since last 2.5 months. He was driving 22,000 kilometers, 22 countries crossing, and he was to reach London. So these people were going to receive him in London. So they were quite excited, and unfortunately, they couldn't meet.
So Tripti, it is in some ways so ironic that it should have been interesting at this point of time. There could have been a celebration at your house. Your eldest brother has accomplished this challenge of a road trip to London that you're talking about. How is the family coping with this tragedy?
We are a big joint family. We all are close together. But first, the news was quite devastating. And first, our reaction that, that passengers, since we are told that passengers were being carried to, civil hospitals. So we were hoping that our, people would be there among those injured people only. But then at the end of the day, we lost all the hope, and we were told that, nobody survived. And it was so greatly shocking for all of us.
I know this is a difficult time for you. Tell us a little bit about your brother, your bhabis. Yours seems to be a deeply close-knit family. What is it that you remember about them the most, or you would miss about them the most?
My younger brother was a very bright chap. He was a managing director of a big company called IRM Offshore. And he had just assumed his managing directorship 3 months ago. And he was quite promising entrepreneur. My bhabhi was also a very creative person. Both the bhabis were a very creative person. And, it's a great loss, not just to the family, but for our company as well. And he was absolutely, brilliant chap at the age of 45. I have no words to say.
We are very sorry for your loss, Tripti. Also, your brother's children and your parents. How are the young people and the older members of the family coping with this?
Yeah, my, this brother is survived by two sons. One is 18 years and one is 8 years old. And we are taking care of them.
Right. Going back to our guest, thank you, Tripti Soni, for speaking to us at a time like this. Mr. Bhargav, you just heard one of the relatives of the victims here. You've been in this industry for such a long time, sir. When do you last remember something so tragic like this happening in this country?
Let me put it this way. Air India has not had this accident as long as I was with Air India. But I've personally gone through a train accident. So I can relate myself to what these people have been going through and what the loss means to them. I was a lucky survivor. It's a different matter at that time. But when you look at it, the painful, everybody has a story, painful story on what happened. Because imagine the people who had come to see off their relatives. They would have hardly gone some distance away when they heard the news about the accident. And then, of course, yesterday, nobody had come forth to say, look, people have perished, so many. We only knew about one survivor, but nobody had put a firm kind of a thing that, look, people have perished. It's only now when the people are getting on to it, the DNA test being conducted because of the fire. Of course, everybody knew it, that the chances of survival were remote. But then one is always hopeful, and that even I was. But till today, when we started getting those figures, that we are talking of 241 people having perished in the air crash and 24 people in the ground, making a tally of 265, simply unbelievable, simply can't look at it and say, what kind of a thing has happened suddenly of it? And when you look back here, aircraft, good, visibility there, pilot here, but what is it that happened? And that is why when these news broke that the black box has been discovered, and then process will begin in right earnest. Then one said, okay, let's hope facts come out and people can really know what really happened. Because fortunate part is the government has taken cognizance of it, and they have issued certain directions that let for these aircraft, Dreamliner flight operated flights, additional checks be conducted. Probably this may be a confidence booster, will infuse confidence in the traveling public that aircraft per se had no fault, but we are trying to find out the reality, what happened for it. But in the meantime, additional checks are being introduced.
Mr. Bhargav, do stay with us. Let me also get you more reactions from families. Remember, this is a difficult time for them. There's also the story of a daughter from Gujarat who left for London yesterday. In fact, she was to reach London today. Kinal Mistry has died in the crash. Her father spoke to NDTV, and there's also a last video of Kinal Mistry waving goodbye to her parents. And she was in India for medical treatment. Her father spoke to NDTV, and this is what he said.
आपने अभी डीएनए सैंपल दिया है, कौन था आपका फ्लाइट में?
मेरी डॉटर थी।
क्या नाम है उनका?
किनल मिस्त्री।
क्या बताया जा रहा है और कहाँ जा रहे थे, कुछ अगर शेयर कर पाएंगे?
वो आनंद से लंदन जा रही थी, अहमदाबाद से लंदन।
अच्छा, अहमदाबाद आनंद से आए थे आप आनंद से?
आनंद से।
अच्छा, क्यों क्या मकसद से जा रहे थे, कुछ बता पाएंगे?
उधर ही रहती थी, लंदन 1 साल से थी वो।
अच्छा।
वो वर्क परमिट में गई थी, उधर ही रहती थी, और उसका अगले साल एक्सीडेंट हो गया था इंडिया में ही। फिर उसका वर्क परमिट था, उसको जाना ही पड़ता था, तो उसका ट्रीटमेंट पूरा नहीं हुआ था, तो ये ट्रीटमेंट के लिए वापस आई थी। उसका 7 या 8 टीथ निकल गया था। अच्छा। तो इम्प्लांट करवाया, तो पूरा दांत उसका नया लगवाया था।
क्या बता रहे हैं कुछ? अभी आपने सैंपल दिया है?
या 3 दिन लगेगा ऐसा बोले, 72 घंटा लगेगा।
तो खाली वो थे, मतलब मैरिड थी, किस तरीके का?
तो आप मैरिड की रजिस्टर करके गई थी। मैरिज तो उसका अगले साल करने का था, मैरिज नहीं हुआ था, मैरिज करने का था अगले साल।
So heartbreaking visuals and voices of families who are mourning their dead. Aditya Paranjpe, there's a very basic question that I want to ask you for viewers who are just tuning in now. Could the crash have been prevented? And if yes, what should we have done? And what is needed to be done in future?
Yeah, at this point, there is no good answer. We'll only know after we look at the data from the flight data recorder. Look, if I can just tell the viewers a little bit about what might transpire after this, now that we have the FDR and the CVR, they'll try and carry out what is called as a root cause analysis. So they'll try and trace back the errors to whether it's some human pilot error or whether it's a problem with the design, with the maintenance, with the operation, with loading or any such thing. At this point, it's not clear what has happened. And if they do identify, so there are 2 things they can identify. It could be a random error where nothing much really can be done. Or they could identify a specific lapse in the procedure, at which point they'll have to go back and re-emphasize the value of that specific procedure. If something is found wanting in the SOPs, those will probably be rewritten. So the whole idea of this exercise of looking at the FDR and the CVR is really to understand, is something missing in our procedure? Is something wrong with the design? And how best can these be fixed? Having said that, I want to add this caveat that at this point, just having seen the visuals, it's not clear where the problem seems to have occurred. So some of it is speculative really, but once you look at the data from the FDR and the CVR, we'll hopefully be able to trace it back to its root cause. And if there are any lessons to be learned, we'll hopefully learn them. We'll improve our SOPs, and that's the way we do justice to the people who died in this crash and on the ground.
Right. Also, Professor, how important are these pre-flight checks, checking for readiness of staff members, also the communication with the ATC systems, also the emergency response protocols? How important are these? Do you think that there could have been lapses on that front as well?
So all of these are absolutely critical. Given how safety critical aviation generally is, we tend to leave nothing to chance. There's literally an SOP for everything, right from the way in which the airplane is loaded, to the amount of fuel that's put on board, to the way the engine is configured prior to takeoff based on the maximum takeoff weight and the ambient conditions, to the exact procedure that the pilots follow from the time the airplane is pushed back. So this business, this sector is heavily procedure driven, and the more experienced a pilot is, the better aware they are of these procedures. As Mr. Bhargav also pointed out earlier, pilots are trained to handle a large range of contingencies. There I could add that even if there had been, for example, a one engine out situation, pilots are trained to keep the airplane flying with one engine and then come back and carry out a safe landing. That's how the airplanes are configured. However, if something's happened which was completely unexpected, completely unsalvageable, then it could have done either. Now, Air India, in our limited knowledge, has had an impeccable record when it comes to maintenance, safety, and operations. So we have to bear that in mind, and we then have to look at the fact that something extremely unusual has happened here. So it might just be an unfortunate set of circumstances, random circumstances that really had nothing to do with any procedural lapse. That's also a possibility that we have to be open to.
Right. Dr. Aditya, there's also a lot that's being talked about this lone survivor, and there are many questions regarding his miraculous escape. And, people have reached out to him, also say that, he himself is not able to talk about, it's understandable that he's gone through this tragedy and he's also injured. What do you think would have really, it's easy to say, it's easy to call it a miracle, and it possibly is, but what do you think could have happened? What really do you think would have helped him?
There is no reason to believe anything in particular. Look, he was sitting in seat 11A, which is by the window. If I remember the seat number correctly, it's the exit row window by the door. So if at all there was an impact on the left-hand side of the airplane, he's bang in there to receive it. Nobody else survived, apparently, this crash, which means everybody in the same row as him, people right behind him, they all perished. So we may not have to call it a miracle, but it could just be a set of chance events that led to him surviving this. Occasionally, people who survive accidents of this sort, where a lot of others are killed, suffer from something known as survivor's guilt. And I genuinely hope that this person does not. He's got a second chance at a life, and wish him the best and hope he makes the most of it. But really, such survival cases are really random events, and these have to be appreciated. We can't explain these, but these really need to be appreciated.
Very well said. Do stay with us, Professor Paranjpe. Gitanjali Nangtoi is the sister of a crew member who lost her life in the tragedy that happened yesterday. In fact, she also spoke about, she gave an interview in 2023 last week of February, and she joined in April 2023 is what Gitanjali talked about her sister. And she said that, it is very difficult for the family to believe that her sister is no longer alive. And she also said that it was her first job, and she cracked the Air India interview, and it was a dream to become an air hostess. And because of an internet ban in the state of Manipur, the family could not video chat as they would love to, but she had messaged the sister when she was in school, informing that she would be flying to London on that day, but then she became unreachable. Let's listen into that conversation.
My interview is 23 February last week I interview the joining na April the boy the April date fixed I high book go high book aduga adudagi 23 na mase aduga pass neba mase yo ka awaraga DM commerce the passing exam piramaga pass try shuma I try to ke sikadang high neba adi ha aviation ko to ana iskeno satte be sindara chatte ba adu interview of look in higher adu pass try the mark ke to bore let thing among the way pass sik now se apoi the layer me ba adu video call the handi question adu matung di phone call su duga Facebook ni ka to ba aduga ngasi message thar ko se mana ai London chatoi ne ngasi do loi call to su chaloi ko ne na chadi da tin ma halakani hai ba ai okay di call ne ja ka na founder se have de kem haina gi trebe kai ni se aduga si gi pau na khoi kom cha mana pau pa ne khoi di ne ja ba ni na smaina e bi da thagale Air India ki then ma class to way ma thoi then karamba no na hai ba na ma Air India ne hai and ma di London ne ma I want to sarami ha ba chatoi is not ma ro de London ne hai ba ma khati na ko ma se pau lo na ba ne ba ma gi roommate ke ai number shin gi ba gi number lai da ba mama na ba phone do ba ne ai di Mumbai de ki pare na kai di pare no khang da me kan tham oi ha de ki si pau ne ꯑꯗꯣ ꯉꯁꯥꯏꯗꯩ ꯃꯦꯗꯤꯌꯥ ꯑꯇꯣꯞꯄꯁꯨ ꯌꯥꯝ ꯂꯥꯛꯑꯦ ꯑꯗꯨ ꯒ꯭ꯌꯥꯟ ꯑꯃ ꯇꯥꯍꯧꯗ꯭ꯔꯦꯕ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯁꯨ ꯑꯗꯨ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛꯁꯦ ꯀꯝꯄꯅꯤꯒ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯏꯅꯥꯎꯄꯤꯒ ꯇꯧꯔ ꯄꯥꯎ ꯐꯥꯎꯅꯕꯗ ꯃꯈꯣꯏꯅꯁꯨ ꯀ꯭ꯔꯤꯌꯨꯒꯤꯅ ꯇꯣꯉꯥꯟꯅ ꯄꯦꯁꯦꯟꯖꯔꯅ ꯇꯣꯉꯥꯟꯅꯁꯨ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯥꯏꯅꯦ ꯑꯗꯨꯃꯥꯏꯅ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯣ ꯃꯃꯥꯟꯅꯕꯤꯅꯁꯨ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯐꯣꯟ ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯄꯗ ꯀꯝꯄꯅꯤꯗꯗꯤ ꯑꯩꯒꯤ ꯅꯝꯕꯔꯗꯤ ꯄꯤꯈ꯭ꯔꯦ ꯐꯣꯟ ꯇꯧꯅꯤꯡꯗꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯁꯨ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯐꯥꯎꯕ ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯇꯦꯕꯀꯣ ꯑꯗꯣ ꯃꯥꯒꯤ ꯐꯣꯟꯁꯤꯁꯨ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯐꯥꯎꯕ ꯔꯤꯡ ꯆꯠꯂꯦꯕ ꯃꯦꯁꯦꯖ ꯊꯥꯕ ꯑꯗꯨ ꯀꯩꯅꯣ ꯇꯧꯋꯦ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯃꯥꯒꯤ ꯅꯦꯠꯁꯨ ꯑꯣꯟ ꯇꯧꯋꯦ ꯑꯗꯨ ꯈꯪꯗꯦ ꯒ꯭ꯌꯥꯟ ꯇꯥꯗ꯭ꯔꯦ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯁꯨ.
The families of victims quite shaken there. Aditya Paranspe, this is also the first fatal crash of a Boeing 787. What kind of implications does this have for Boeing's safety records and also the fact that it was seen as one of the safest aircrafts, the Dreamliner? And what does this mean for the need for maintenance and also Air India's operational oversight?
Okay, so I'm not really an expert to comment on that, but let me still give it a go. So we talked earlier about the root cause analysis that's going to happen now that we have the FTR and the CVR. So the implications for both Boeing and Air India really depend on the outcomes of that root cause analysis. If it's traced back to something in the design, it's something that Boeing's going to have to fix if it's traced back to design. Let's also be aware that some of these problems happen because of issues with the operations that are so niche, it's very difficult to predict them ahead of time. And those are lessons that as a respectable OEM, Boeing will obviously learn. If the root cause analysis finds issues with any of the SOPs or anything to do with maintenance, then that's for Air India to decide how best they're going to handle it. I think the important thing to bear in mind is that both of these companies have had a fairly respectable record over the years. The Boeing 787 has been, they recently flew their billionth passenger over, I believe, some 5 million hours or so without incident. So clearly it's a fairly safe plane. However, one point that I must emphasize here is that in engineering, we talk about reliability, and reliability is always quantified in terms of the probability of failure. Even things that are fail-safe technically carry an extremely small probability of failure, and those are random events that can happen. The second thing I should also point out is that there is a general saying in the aviation world that no accident happens because of a single factor. It's very rare. Instead, you have a chain of contributing factors. So what will have to be identified with this crash was, what chain was this? Were there multiple contributing factors, each of which perhaps small in its own right, that contributed to this? Or was this a chance event, Murphy's law in action, that contributed to the crash? I think that's where we really need the FTR and the CVR to tell us what happened.
Right, that's a very important point. Also, let me also tell you the story of Bhumi Chauhan, a resident of Gujarat's Bharuch, who missed yesterday's flight AI 171, which crashed and 241 people on board died, including crew members, and lost their lives. But Bhumi Chauhan missed the flight because she was stuck in a traffic jam, and that really turned out to be a lifesaver. She spoke today, and this is what she said.
मेरी फ़्लाइट का टाइम था 1:10 का, तो हमें पहुंचते थोड़ा 12:20 हो चुकी थी और 12:10 को एयर इंडिया वालों ने चेक इन और सब कुछ करना बंद कर दिया था. अहमदाबाद का थोड़ा ट्रैफिक, हम लोग ये सिटी एरिया में थोड़ा एंटर हो चुके थे, तो उस वजह से थोड़ा हमको लेट हुआ था. और एट द टाइम आई वॉज फीलिंग टोटली नम एंड एक तरह से अच्छा, मैं अपने भगवान का थोड़ा, माता जी का और सब शुक्रिया कर रही थी कि मैं बच गई. लेकिन दूसरी साइड ये भी था कि ये जो इंसिडेंट हुआ है वो बहुत ही थोड़ा टेरिफाइड है.
Well, NDTV stands with the families that have lost their loved ones in this horrible air crash. It's time for a short break. We'll be back in just a bit.
That's huge. That is a biggie. It's out there.
Gold Plus Clear Glass. Far ho ya near, sab kuch dikhe clear.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad. India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail, Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV. If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
Why was there a hurry? Was it the government that was in a hurry?
I don't want to blame anyone.
Joining us today here in the NDTV newsroom.
Government cannot walk away from this responsibility.
Cricket is region of sort in this country.
Would you like to comment on what happened?
What is the condition of the injured at this point? How many people died?
What exactly happened? You have lost your daughter.
गोल्ड प्लस ऑप्टिमिस्टिक रिफ्लेक्टिव ग्लास लगाओ, धूप की गर्मी को दूर भगाओ और बिजली का बिल भी बचाओ।
In the wake of Pahalgam, all eyes on the Amarnath Yatra. Amidst fear, faith and fortitude. India's biggest fight against terror. NDTV reports on the holy route, the Amarnath spirit.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I
or
hold
lifetime
CDSL for the long term? Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit. Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week
Well, India witnessed one of its darkest days in aviation history yesterday. Air India Flight 171, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner en route from Ahmedabad to London, crashed shortly after takeoff, claiming the lives of 294 people, 241 on board and at least 53 on the ground. Now, this tragedy not only marks the deadliest aviation disaster of the 2020s, but also the first fatal crash involving a Dreamliner since its introduction in 2011. We are getting you all details from the ground. My colleague Ankit joins us from Ahmedabad. Ankit, a variety of things have happened today, from the Prime Minister's visit to the National Investigation Agency going there, several teams going to landing in Ahmedabad to analyze what really happened, and most importantly, the discovery, the finding of the black box. Take us through the importance of black box. What does that mean for the investigation? Are we one step closer to reconstructing what really went wrong?
Well, the most significant part of this investigation, of course, was the recovery of the black box, which happened after 28 hours of continuous search by AAIB officials. As we've been talking since morning, Vasudha, let me very quickly also tell you that the black box was found at the rooftop, which we were showing you earlier. I have changed my location. I'm at the hospital at this moment, but very quickly, it was on the same rooftop that we saw a lot of activity. And then, of course, after 28 hours, the black box was found there. Now, the recovery is significant because it has very important data in it, which will be analyzed, and then there will be other investigations which will determine what exactly happened to this Dreamliner, which was unable to take that lift off, unable to take that thrust while it was on its takeoff, in fact, a sequence. Now, the black box not only just records the conversation between the pilots from the cockpit and the ATC, it also has about more than 1,000 parameters, mechanical, various parameters on which it records the performance of the entire aircraft. That becomes crucial to determine whether it was a pilot error or something went wrong mechanically as far as this aircraft is concerned. Then other factors come into play, like the way the plane landed, where it broke, the engine. All those things are going to be analyzed to first see whether there is an immediate need for other 787 Dreamliners to be grounded and to be checked and that thing to be rectified, or there was something specifically that went wrong with this aircraft. All those things will be checked because remember, the 787 Dreamliner is used across many countries, across many airlines as well. Now, apart from that, once the recovery of the black box is done, today there has been a green signal which has been given to remove the debris from that entire area of the BJ Medical College undergraduate, the junior doctors, hostel and mess, where at least as far as the Medical Association is concerned, 4 MBBS students and 6 relatives, those who are visiting, have also died. So now the importance would be to clear that site, all that wreckage would be taken, and then of course a big exercise to reconstruct will begin.
Right. Thank you, Ankit, for joining us with those details. Like you rightly said, the most significant aspect of today's several teams landing in Ahmedabad is also discovery of the black box, which will play a critical role in reconstructing what really went wrong. With that, it's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
तू ही तो है जिसकी सच्चाई वाली क्लैरिटी की वजह से मैं आज यहाँ हूँ।
गोल्ड प्लस सिल्वॉक्सी मिरर्स, ऐसी क्लैरिटी कि आपको सिर्फ सच नजर आए, चाहे कितने भी साल बीत जाएं।
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी
ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि एनडीए सरकार में हम
बाहर निकला तो मैंने देखा कि आवाज जोर से आवाज आया विंग्स का, फिर पूरा धुआं भर गया।
मेरे खुद को भी बिलीव नहीं होता कि मैं कैसे उसमें से जिंदा बाहर निकला।
A disaster that has shocked the entire country, a disaster, a tragedy that has the entire world glued to their television screen. 241 people on the aircraft have lost their lives, just one lone survivor on seat 11A. A massive wide-bodied aircraft, Boeing 787 Dreamliner, dropped to the ground in a fireball in just a matter of 32 seconds, a minuscule half a minute that it took for so many families and lives to be destroyed forever. We're going to be understanding with the help of this passenger jet simulation what could have gone wrong with this particular aircraft, what could have led to this particular crash. Today with us we have Pushkar Shailar, who's a trained commercial pilot. Pushkar, let's go on to the passenger jet simulation and try and understand how an aircraft really works, what could have gone wrong with this particular aircraft. Pushkar, first things first, I just wanted to begin by asking you, what do you think could have gone wrong? What are the technical difficulties that the pilot might have encountered on this particular aircraft?
See, first of all, I will not make any speculations on this until the report is out. The investigation is still being done, right? So there's no report that's coming out. But what are the possibilities, right? There are multiple possibilities. Could be some technical fault, right? Could be complete power loss, right? Or could be some bird activity. But we really cannot say that this is the reason that happened until the investigation is out.
Absolutely. There's a probe that we're waiting by for more details on what really could have transpired in the span of those 32 seconds. But we're talking about half a minute here. And in just a span of half a minute, you did have that entire aircraft. It's a very massive, wide-bodied aircraft that crashed into the ground, dropped to a fireball. We just want to understand if there's a possible double engine failure that is something that you see in terms of a reason. What is really the protocol when it comes to technical difficulties such as these?
See, the altitude when they took off, right, it was close to 500-600 feet. So at that altitude, if you have complete power loss, then it becomes really difficult to recover from that. But every pilot is well trained to do this. But since the aircraft was so close to the ground, so it must have been difficult for them to control. But they must have gone through all the checklist and everything. And
So basically, what you're saying is that since the aircraft was at a low height at that particular point in time, it made it difficult for the pilot to find room to maneuver the aircraft back to safety?
Yes, that could be one of the things, right? Because since you're very close to the ground, you don't have room, right? A lot of room, right? And you don't have a lot of time to think. You have to react quickly, and that's how things work, right? So
absolutely. Also, there's a lot of speculation in terms of the flap, right? Could you also explain to us the function of a flap? What is a flap on an aircraft, and how, with the help of this passenger jet simulation, help us understand where can a flap be controlled from?
Right, so we had flaps before takeoff and during landing also. So flaps, basically what they do is they generate a lot of lift, which helps us in getting airborne with a shorter distance, right? So, and also during landing, right, to slow us down, we use flaps. So it's a part on the wing that extends downwards.
So is this an auto control? Is this a manual control? How does that work, the operation of a flap?
It's completely manual, right? It's determined, so the flap setting is basically determined using the current weather conditions and the weight of the aircraft and all of that.
So Pushkar, from
within this aircraft, this passenger jet simulation, where would you be operating the flap from?
Right. So this is how a flaps control look like, right? So right now it's on 0. So this is how we add flaps 1, flaps 2, and that's how the flaps get extended. And we also get the image on the screens that flaps have been extended or retracted.
Right. So the probable reasons that we're looking at this point in time, it's a possible double engine failure that we're looking at. Is there any other possibility that you're seeing based on your experience when it comes to this particular aircraft or when it comes to a particular airborne?
See, I'm not exactly sure what exactly happened on that scenario, but what I'll say is bird activity could be one of the reasons. I mean, there are multiple reasons, but bird activity could be one of the reasons that we need to look at.
So there you have it. Those are some of the reasons that might have led to this really unfortunate tragedy unfolding, where you do have 241 people on that particular aircraft losing their lives. Bird activity, possible double engine failure, those are some of the reasons that Pushkar outlined as a commercial pilot.
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Genzol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have 2 credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Jaggi brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
बाहर निकला तो मैंने देखा कि आवाज जोर से आवाज आया विंग्स का, फिर पूरा धुआं धुआं भर गया।
मेरे खुद को भी बिलीव नहीं होता कि मैं कैसे उसमें से जिंदा बाहर निकला।
To a very special program. My colleague Shiv Arur and I are standing in front of this 3D rendition of a Boeing 787 aircraft. Now we've spent a considerable amount of time on this 3D rendition, and what we're going to try and do, among many things over the next couple of hours, is actually go through various components of the aircraft and talk about what is important in the crash of AI-171 and what could have gone wrong.
Because the 6 parts of this aircraft, we're going to talk about all of them one by one. Whether it is the tail section right at the back where the black box has been found, to the engines themselves, to the nose section, to other parts, the landing gear. We're going to go through them one by one, Vishnu, to piece together the key components that might actually reveal what may have happened.
So what we can actually do is, first let's take a look at the engines themselves. You can see the engine over here. This is a General Electric engine. It's got 70,000 pounds of thrust, so it's among the most powerful engines of its class in the world. It's got 2 engines like this. The big question is, how could this jetliner have lost 2 engines simultaneously? Now let's roll that footage, which we've also got, of a close-up of the engine, the debris of the engine, which is what investigators are going to be looking at very closely. So if we can just get that up at a certain stage of that video, then that would be great. But in case we don't have it, the other key component, and let's keep turning the aircraft if we can. If we can turn the model of the aircraft, then I can show you that we'll also be focusing on the wings of the aircraft. So let's focus a little bit more on this. We haven't been able to move the aircraft. We'll be focusing on the wings over here.
We'll get the aircraft to move, but
we're going to get the aircraft to rotate, and then we're going to be focusing on this aircraft over here. So we've got it to move. So I'm just going to, as we see the engine shift, we're also going to focus a little bit on the wings, right, and the surface of the wings, which we're going to see in a little while from now, and the flap is something that's going to be absolutely
That's going to be visible right now as the aircraft rotates. The flaps is something we're going to talk about closely.
3 seconds, if we can pause it, let's pause right there. Let's pause right over there so that we can take a look at this area, right over here. This entire area, this is the wing structure of the aircraft. And broadly, this area that you see over here is where the flaps for a takeoff needed to have been in takeoff configuration. When the aircraft rose, there is a lot of conversation which is taking place about whether these flaps were properly configured, because if there was, for example, an engine failure in one of the 2 engines of the aircraft, and then there was an improper flap configuration, right, then the aircraft couldn't have climbed.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the flaps, we've talked about the engines as well. As you can see, the 787 is a twin engine passenger jet. Now we're also going to talk about the tail section. Now this section that you see here, viewer, is the same section that you saw lodged in the roof of a building. In one of the most, upsetting and troubling images, you've seen the tail section of the aircraft near intact, unlike the rest of the aircraft, Vishnu, that was lodged in the roof of that medical college building. And that is where the black box of this aircraft has actually been recovered from. It would actually be in this particular area.
In this area over here, right over here, underneath the tail, is where you'd have the black box. And I'll tell you a little bit about the location itself. It's actually believed to be the strongest aircraft, a part of the aircraft, one of them. It would be in a hardened sort of shelter, as it were. The black box itself is designed to withstand the impact of crashes. Could be immersed as well in water for an extended period of time, temperatures in case there's a fire and an explosion, as was the case this time. But this area of the aircraft is the one that we are talking about being a relatively quote-unquote safe area. That has been recovered this evening. At about 5:10 is when I got a message from somebody saying that, look, we can confirm now to you that we have located the black box, which is the cockpit voice recorder and the digital flight data recorder.
Okay, we're going to try and put some of those images on our screen because we've got relevant, specific images of the tail and the parts that we're talking about on our screen that we will talk about, and our producers should be putting those out on the screen as we talk about them. But before we move on from the black box area, Vishnu, just one quick query. The black box is situated in this tail section of the aircraft, I'm assuming, because this is the part that would be least vulnerable in the event of a crash, and that seems to be borne out by the photographs as well.
So that's an image actually, and it's interesting that the Prime Minister was just underneath it, but because what the area that he was looking at over there, let's have that image of Prime Minister Modi, is just above him is the area somewhere there where the cockpit voice recorder and the digital flight data recorder would be located. The digital flight data recorder records parameters every second, thousands of them on every aspect of this flight. The cockpit voice recorder, as the name suggests, measures or records on a hard drive the conversations between the pilots. All right, let's keep moving this model of the aircraft itself. But at this stage, we're also joined by Sanjay Lazar, who is an expert on aviation and has been tracking this very closely with us. Sanjay, thanks very much for being with us. It is welcome news that we've got the black box of the aircraft actually out. In terms of, there are lots of theories doing the rounds. What are you hearing from, knowledgeable sources on what this may be all about?
Well, Vishnu and Shiv, as you know, that we've had a maelstrom of speculation and theories and conspiracy theories even over the last 24 hours, and that's been really tragic, adding fuel to the fire. But as we see it, plain and simple, and as you've said on your show yesterday as well as today, it appears to be a loss of power, loss of thrust to both engines. Now, what caused it? And is something that the investigators will look at. I know that the Accident Investigation Board has been on site. 2 NTSB people have also arrived, I'm given to understand. And I think some British team is also arriving, to assist. The NIA and the ATS are also there. So there's all sorts of people there. The recovery of the black box, so to speak, DFDR and CVR is a great step. This will help decipher exactly what happened. It records, obviously, the last 2 hours of the cockpit conversation. In this case, there wasn't that much, but it would have recorded everything. And the other part is the DFDR, which will translate into digital data all the parameters of whether, the fuel, the engine thrust, the power, everything, including the vibrations, the flaps, all signals of the aircraft are actually transmitted into digital data and then stored on this. We are happy, it's a great sign that it's in intact condition because, in earlier accidents we've seen where this was damaged and then had to be sent to Seattle or, Florida for deciphering. So this is something that, our people in India could probably tackle. So that's 2 very good signs that we've seen.
Angad Singh is also with us, very well-respected aviation analyst and commentator. Angad, welcome.
Should we also call him a friend?
And a very close personal friend of both Vishnu and me. Angad, it's been 2 days. It's been over a day since the crash. Much has been said. There's been a lot of debate. There's been a huge amount of speculation, obviously. The two crash videos, and I want to put those on our screen right now for everyone to see. Not that anyone's going to be able to forget those pictures in a hurry. What did you make of those, Angad? What's your best guess at this time over what may have happened?
So Shiv, Vishnu, thanks for having me. I think the videos that we've seen, both the CCTV footage from the left side of the takeoff and the earlier video that came from the right, I think both those videos are, I want to sound a note of caution about both those videos. They are not high resolution, they are not clear videos. They show with ground references the attitude of the aircraft as it was in its final moments, certainly. But I would like that people wouldn't draw conclusions about things like flap configurations from these videos. The 787 has an enormous, heavily cambered, deceptively curvy wing, and it's very difficult at the best of times with clear imagery to decode what flap setting has been selected on an aircraft departing or arriving. So from these videos, it's too early, and that's a note of caution I want to sound. That it's premature to look at these videos from the rear aspect of the aircraft and draw conclusions about flap configurations and things like that. Generally, for an aircraft to go down like this at this phase of flight at takeoff, the educated guess, and it is a guess, is that it would be a loss of thrust, because nothing else short of something that catastrophic would have this result.
All right, so point taken about that flap setting. It is nonetheless one of the talking points in the aviation community among pilots. So what I thought I'd do is go through various theories. There are about 4 or 5 different theories which have been stated by aviation experts looking at this. Remember, these are theories, these are not the facts. The black box is now out, it's going to come out with the data. There would be an accident report as well. But till then, this is what experts have been saying. What exactly did result in this? Remember, the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder have now been found, and hopefully in a finite period of time we will know what exactly took place. But let's play out a couple of scenarios. The first scenario, immediately after rotation, in other words, the moment the plane gets into the sky, a single engine failure or a bird strike potentially occurs, drastically increasing the cockpit workload for the pilots. The crew focused on the engine issue may have mistakenly not retracted or brought up the landing gear. That's a standard procedure post takeoff to aid climb performance. While troubleshooting in the cockpit, the plane could have slowed below the minimum speed required to maintain control with one engine out, leading to a stall that resulted in the crash. At about 400 feet, recovery from a stall when the aircraft was not climbing is nearly impossible.